That is great. Where are you gonna have it?
Night we were together.
Very good.
His dad
citizens of Louisburg Town Council. Welcome to this special call meeting today for our budget. And we'll begin by having our roll call, please.
Mayor Neal,
Here.
Councilman Stover,
Here.
Councilwoman Woods,
Here.
Councilman Kingsley,
Here.
Councilwoman Wright, Councilwoman Baker, Councilman Roseby.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And Councilman Roseby, could you lead us in our invocation, please?
Mayor Neal, may I ask that as we're doing the invocation, can we keep Councilwoman Kim Baker's mother in our prayers as we are doing the invocation tonight?
Certainly, certainly.
Great. In your name, we thank you for this night's special meeting. We ask that you would go with us and be with us. And though it may be lengthy, we ask that you would allow things to be done decent and in order. Lord, we ask for Councilwoman Kim Baker, that we lift up her mother, that you would bless her in her situation that she's going through, that you would be with Kim and be with her mother during this time, Lord. We thank you for this day and for allowing us to see another day. Help us to make the decisions that will better Franklin County, the town of Louisburg. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Item number 3 is the adoption of the agenda for this evening. No corrections. Could I get a motion?
Motion that we accept the adopted minutes.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the agenda for this evening. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, we'll begin on item 5 with the new business there, the amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinance for our public safety and parking fines. Mr. Satterwhite.
Evening. Thank you, Mayor, members of the Town Council, citizens of Louisburg. The item before us here is an amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinances regarding parking violations here in town. The request is for the council to consider adoption of the amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinances, establishing the provision that all parking tickets issued in town shall be issued by the Louisburg Police Department as a local ordinance violation. Currently, the citations are issued as a state violation, in which that means that the defendant in those cases attends a court date and pays monies to include the legal parking fine along with the cost of court fees. But in addition to paying those court costs and fines, the monies collected do not come back to the town currently. They go to the state. Staff is of the opinion that we would like citations to be issued as a code of ordinance violation and for the money to be redistributed back to the town. This would be, the procedure would be, we issue a citation to the offender. The offender then has a certain amount of days to pay the ticket. If they do not pay the ticket, then a notice of violation is sent to the offender, in which if they do not pay at that point, then they could be issued a criminal summons to appear in court at that time. This amendment would change the policy to, again, bring the monies collected back to the town of Louisburg, and also cut down on the cost for the offenders, for people here in town, our citizens here. Court costs, the amount is about $176 in total, plus the fine that they receive. The $176 for court costs would not be in play if it were a local ordinance violation, and they would just pay the fine itself. And so in our talks, myself and Chief Lincoln, we established a list of fines, as you see in your packet. Number one, parking too far from the curb, $25. Parking wrong side of the street, $25. Parking too close to the corner, $25. Parking within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, $25. Blocking the driveway, $25. Double parking, $25. Parking in a loading zone or area, $25. Over the allowed time limit or 2-hour parking spaces we have in town, $25. No parking zone, $25. Fire lane, $50. And then statutes, $250. Again, this is an ordinance amendment just to bring monies back into the town and to decrease the cost of those violations for our citizens here in town. Does council have any questions about the amendment?
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Satterwhite for regarding this ordinance? If not, could I get a motion to approve? It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinance regarding parking violations. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you, council. Item number 6, amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinance for the police power on firearms. Mr. Satterwhite.
Mayor, members of council, citizens of Louisburg. This amendment to the Code of Ordinances would be prohibiting firearms in town-owned or town-operated buildings. Currently, General Statutes 14-415.23 expressly authorize prohibit firearms in local government buildings, their appurtenant premises, recreational facilities, provided that the prohibition is clearly posted. We do have signage at Town Hall, other town-owned buildings, but teeth, so to speak, the ordinance does not. And so we need to adopt an ordinance in order to make it law. So in town, we need to adopt this ordinance to prohibit firearms being carried in any town-owned or town-owned operated facilities, with the exception of police, of course, or government officials who are authorized to carry firearms. This is just a public safety measure. As times get increasingly more dangerous across the country, we just want to make sure our town staff is safe. And so the Exhibit B mentions the ordinance and lists the definitions in the ordinance, prohibited conduct, exemptions, as I mentioned, sworn law enforcement officers, individuals exempt under general statutes, individuals otherwise authorized to carry by state law to carry firearms in government buildings, or firearms or weapons surrendered to law enforcement in accordance with a lawful request. And so if we adopt this ordinance, the signs will be posted at Town Hall, here at the Karl Pernell Safety Complex, the Operations Center, and as well the community station.
Okay, will this apply during Friday nights on the tar as well?
No, because it is an outside public space, you can't prohibit carrying of weapons in a public space outside, but inside of the town operated buildings, yes, we can prohibit it.
Any other questions for Mr. Satterwhite? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the ordinance for the amendment to the Louisburg Code of Ordinance, police power for firearms. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes carry. Item number 7, a surplus, and this is a surplus for one of our K9, Chief Lincoln.
Mayor, Council, we have one of our K9 officers, Officer Max Bowers, resigning from the police department. A K9 and its handler, in this case, Officer Max Bauer, they form a bond. They go through several months of training, and we believe it is in not only the town's best interest, but the handler and the K9's best interest for us to surplus K9 Jaeger to go with Officer Max Bauer. Officer Max Bauer has agreed to pay a reimbursement fee to the town so that we can go out and purchase another K9. to reestablish that canine trained with a new handler. So I ask that you surplus K-9 Jaeger to go with Officer Max Power on his last day,
When is that last day?
July 21st.
Any questions for Chicken?
How are we going to receive those funds? How can we ensure that the town is being reimbursed those dollars?
That will be a condition of Officer Max Power taking K-9 Jaeger. Once the transaction's complete, and K-9 Jaeger will go with Officer Max Power.
Also, can you explain to us the understanding behind this, why we just can't transfer it over to another officer? For the dog, for the officer, explain to us that don't know.
The training that they go through, like I said, it's several months of training, and for a new handler to come in, they have to break the bond between canine and current handler, and then reestablish, and it impacts the canine in a certain way. These dogs are, from a very young age, they're with that one handler. So my belief is it would be difficult to establish or to break that bond and reestablish it with another handler.
Would it be wise enough to say that it could also be a safety issue for the officer and the dog? Would they follow the same commands? How does that work?
That would be safe to say.
Okay, so, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Lincoln from the council?
No, I move that we surplus this K-9.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. We surplus the police K-9. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. All right. The next is public hearing. The public hearing for discuss the budget for the 26-27th year, amendment to the Louisburg Plaza plan, as well as amendment to the official zoning map. Could I get a motion to go into open session?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go into public hearing open session.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second that we go into for discussion of the items just mentioned. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. Okay, the first item is our budget for the fiscal year 26-27. Mr. Medley.
Mayor, Town Council, thank you. Tonight, we have a budget that is balanced according to the general statutes of North Carolina. Budget overall total $17,562,308. There is a proposed 5-cent tax increase per $100 assessed value, which equates to $46,986.15 per 1 cent increase. Currently, that increase would generate an estimated $234,930.75 tax increase for the general fund alone, and the current tax collection rate through Franklin County is 98%. There were no increases in electric, water, or sewer funds, including sanitation as well. Staff has worked to prepare a budget and provide one that is balanced, taking into necessary constraints that we have in front of us at this time. So we addressed several things that we could, and we provided those at one of our budget meetings, especially what we wanted and had need for. Overall, the town employees would get a 3.3% COLA, which would be effective July 1st. Aside from that, we're asking for you all to consider at some point tonight to approve a budget.
All right, Council, any questions for?
It's not much such a question, but as we were going through, I think, I'm not gonna say my only concern is that we're not giving police and fire and everybody raises for recruitment and retention, because recruitment and retention, especially in our public service, fire and police, is very, not saying that other ones aren't, but for our public service recruitment and retention, especially retention. And I know as we move forward with all these housing developments and as we continue to grow, we're gonna have to expand our fire. We're gonna have to expand our police. That looks like more cars and more officers. So my concern is recruitment and retention of our public safety. That is my biggest advocate, is recruitment and retention, recruitment and retention. So I think going forward, we need to highly focus on our infrastructure and our public service recruitment.
Mayor, point of order. We're in a public hearing right now. We're not in the time for our discussion by the council.
What's that question?
Yeah, that's why I'm calling a point of order. I think that was not correct. We should hear from the public right now, and then after that, after we come out of public session, then we will have a discussion amongst the council members.
So noted. So noted. Okay. Will do. Okay. As we move along with that, you've heard Mr. Medlin put forth the budget. And now, being that this is a public hearing, I now would open the floor to the public for those who may be in favor of this budget. If you feel that you want to talk in favor of this budget, you can come forward and you would have 3 minutes to state your opinion. Yes, ma'am, you can come forward. You need me?
SF 203 John Street. This isn't exactly in favor of it, but I had some favorable things to say. Because I had heard Commissioner Shriver's trust speech twice, I tried to digest it, and I had the idea that if I had just heard the finished budget coming from the commissioners or from the council, that I wouldn't be very trusting. And so when it was in the newspaper that there was going to be a preliminary meeting, I decided that I would go to that. And all of the departments were presenting their wish lists. So I decided to go and see how the song was actually made. It truly was very useful, although I was only one of two witnessing the procedure. But it was very useful, and I do want to say that I was very impressed with each department head, each of the departments, that they were very knowledgeable and well-spoken and made a clear-cut case for the items on their list, although each was saying why the things on their list were needed, like recruitment and retention. And knowing that Louisburg budget couldn't possibly cover all of these items, but they wanted and needed to do, they just wanted to say what they needed to do the best job that they could possibly do. So kudos to all of you. And I thought it was very well done, and that I think that respect is earned, and you have earned my respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If not, then we'll move to listen to those who may have an opposition to this budget. And if so, you have 3 minutes that you can come up and state your comments on that.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Ray Staff. I reside at 405 Sunset Avenue in Louisburg. I'm standing here tonight regarding the proposed budget because a budget is not just a plan to spend money, it's a reflection of fiscal reality. And right now our town is flying completely blind.
To be frank, my comments this evening wouldn't even be necessary had my multiple repeated requests over the last 2 years for basic financial transparency and regular monthly reporting been adhered to. For 24 months, I've asked for the numbers. For 24 months, the public has been met with a wall of silence. And look where it has brought us. As we sit here on the verge of voting on a multi-million-dollar budget, the town of Louisburg is in arrears on 2 consecutive financial audits, with a 3rd audit due by the end of this year. Furthermore, the public has not seen a regular monthly municipal financial report in well over a year, closer to 2. By North Carolina law, a sound budget requires a reliable projection of the town's starting position, our unassigned balance. Without completed audits and without monthly internal ledger reconciliations, the fund balance, figures used to back this budget, are essentially a guess. Because the town has stopped generating internal reports, I have formally filed a public records request for the final pages of all official town banking and investment statements for May and June over the last 3 fiscal years. If the town cannot or will not produce a balance sheet, a raw bank records will show the public exactly how our money has been working and whether our reserves are being depleted or increased. Therefore, I have 3 straightforward questions for the record tonight. First, what is the exact unassigned fund balance currently sitting in the town's general fund right now? And what independent verified source document was used to establish that starting number for this budget? Second, given the lack of monthly financial reporting to this council, who is currently verifying that our actual cash positions match our bank statements, then how can this council legally vote to pass a budget without those monthly reconciliations? Third, what concrete steps are being taken right now to address our audit delinquency with the local government commission before the state feels compelled to intervene? We all want a safe, prosperous, and well-run town, but we cannot have financial stability without financial transparency. Our citizens deserve to know the real numbers, and this council deserves to have them before you vote to spend taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Anyone else? In opposition? Okay, if not, we'll move on to anyone who have a neutral opinion about it and want to share that as well with us. You have your opportunity as well. Okay. All right. So now at this time, we'll have a rebuttal where we can answer your questions, put forth our side there. And Mr. Medley, you want to speak to that issue there?
Okay.
Before we've already done.
So basically, I think Ms. Neff just gave us positive reinforcement. She liked what we had done this past year. I don't think there was a true question there with Ms. Neff. It was just a statement that you were making, correct?
I was making a statement about
Right.
the people that presented.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Mr. Staff, for a rebuttal to what you've mentioned, the exact fund balance, I can't give you that tonight. I do not have that in front of me. As you're aware of the challenges that we have encountered with staffing personnel and getting competent people to come to Louisburg to work, and providing that information and keeping it up to date. You know, we've had those challenges. Therefore, with monthly reconciliations, we're still challenged with that as well. As you have been aware, we have actually retained a third party to help us get things cleaned up, and that's what we're doing. We're working diligently daily to get our monthly reconciliations up to date. As we went through the information, it was confirmed that the former finance director had committed fraud, and we are now trying to work through to see what that total amount is, which the financial statements that she had provided up through February were incorrect because she had not posted expenditures appropriately into the system. So therefore, we have retained a third party, Beverly Stroud, a CPA. Beverly is helping us daily to get this caught up. So we'll have those hopefully reconcile it over the next month or so to be able to provide that to you. We are aware that we are 2 audits behind, soon to be 3 at the end of December. Staff is working with PB Mayers, our current auditors, to work on fiscal year 23-24. We do know that you have requested information. We don't mind to get that to you, and we'll get that for you as well. And that would help, I think, with some of the budget concerns that you have.
Yeah, and in addition to that, yeah, we are aware of your most recent request for budget information. Yes, this is public information, and you are entitled to get what you have requested. Within 10 days, you will get that information. We have already responded back to you in an official capacity via email and mail of your request, informing you that that information is forthcoming to you. And that letter you should receive will be under the signature of the town clerk to whom you initially addressed that letter to.
Thank you, sir, for that feedback, and Mr. Medlin, I appreciate your feedback also. But I will highlight, just for respect to the citizens in here, not one of my questions that I just asked were addressed. And that is the issue. This budget, you're flying blind, sir. And I say that with all due respect. And I think you have options that will protect you, the council, and the citizens that you're not, for some reason, taking.
Do you want me to respond to that?
Yes, you can respond to that.
So the budget that was drafted this year, Mr. Staff, that's based on current trends, which is what we do every year.
If that's based on current trend, why do we have no data in the 25-26 column as far as expenditures or revenue?
Because they're not correct. I just advised that of you that
You just
nothing.
said use current trends. That would be at least
That the
more
current
than
trends,
0.
when we looked at revenues and we retained expenditures basically in what they were, but based on current trends, our revenues for electric, water, sewer, we were able to do that because that department was posting as they were supposed to do. And then the expenditure part of it, things weren't posted. So we were actually taking, based on that, the ability to actually provide a COLA and then go from there and balance a budget based on the revenues that we would receive, which is what we do every year. And that's
I
it.
hear you, but nobody can develop a budget without knowing what they spent and what they received the year prior. I understand the challenges.
Mhm.
This council is getting ready to approve a budget that is devoid of any information from last year. Even a best guess is not on that budget. We deserved at least a best guess based on trend. None of that's there. I'm sorry. I put articles out there. You know what I've said. I'm not poking at the town. I'm not poking at the leadership. I know you got a hard job and this is a very difficult situation. I just don't think you're handling it right, and you have resources available that help, and we're not asking for it. And we'll let it go because I know there's a lot of people here that got other issues to discuss that are important to them.
Okay. That's it. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next item. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. So the next item is the amendment to the Louisburg Plaza plan of the civil. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh,
We're gonna have a public hearing on that, aren't we?
that's under the public hearing heading.
300.
So we're closing, yeah, we're gonna have,
It would close at the end.
and then move to take the vote. Okay. Okay. Next is the amendment to the Louisburg Plaza plan, cell towers, parcel 040450705 on Retail Way. Mr. Simon.
Thank you, Mayor, and Council, citizens of Louisburg. The request is to amend the Louisburg Plaza Master Plan to allow the use of a wireless communications tower on the property. Louisburg Plaza was originally established with a master land use plan that governs the site separately than other zoning designations in town. The master plan governs the uses, infrastructure, architectural controls, access, ingress, egress, solid waste, erosion control, stormwater, signage, lighting, and phasing for the plaza. Anytime an amendment is proposed, that amendment must follow the same procedure as the original rezoning itself. And so the reason why we're here tonight, the amendment has passed the planning board with an approved vote of 5-0. One member was absent at that time due to illness. Would still need technical approval from the Louisburg Zoning Board of Adjustment, who reviewed these technical applications for sufficiency compliance with our Louisburg zoning ordinance. And the tower that is proposed is a 150-foot monopine tower situated in the rear of Walmart. The proposal area, as stated in the rear of Walmart, the applicant has proposed to construct the tower in the rear in the southwestern corner of the plaza. The property is owned by Walmart, and they have sent a letter advising that they would like this amendment to go through. Manager of Walmart, the senior manager of Walmart Real Estate Business Trust, Mrs. Karl Meeks, sent a letter stating that they would like this amendment to go through. Click next slide, please, James. This is a zoom in on the proposal area again. The unplatted road, Herman Kemp Boulevard, backs up to it. However, according to our zoning ordinance, the master plan, if a use of a cell communications tower is implemented, there must be significant screening, landscaping. They must have a compound fenced in the tower itself. They are proposing one tower that would be 150 feet. Per our ordinance, camouflaging is recommended for tower aesthetic. The applicant has agreed to implement that camouflaging, in which it would have a monopine aesthetic. Next slide, please, James. As you can see, wireless telecommunications towers are highlighted, and the B2 zoning district is the underlying zoning district for the area where Walmart is. It would be permitted with a special use permit. So right now, we are just following the procedure for the rezoning to allow use there, but then it would have another part where we go to the zoning board of adjustments for a special use permit to actually construct the tower. Next slide, please. Again, this is an excerpt from the zoning ordinance mentioning the regulation on wireless telecommunications towers, with the exception of amateur radio antenna. All towers shall be monopole in construction. The applicant has proposed a monopole design. Towers mounted to buildings or structures are only allowed within those certain zoning districts. This is not mounted to the building. The tower separation, no tower may be concealed. Towers are exempt from this requirement. This would be considered a concealed tower because they are implementing the monopine design, excuse me, in which the tower looks like a pine tree at the top. Our tower height, our max is 450 feet. This one proposed is only 150 feet, so it meets that regulation. Next slide, please. Setbacks, minimum height of the tower in residentially zoned areas. This is a business or industrial zoned area, so 50 feet or 1 foot for each 2 feet of tower height, whichever is greater. The applicant in their site plan has proposed that setback. The lighting, they have met that compliance. And again, the aesthetic would be a galvanized steel finish, but it would look like a pine tree at the top. Next slide, please. Again, I mentioned the fencing. The tower base shall be enclosed with a 10-foot tall chain link fence located a minimum of 10 feet from the base of the tower. And then a 25-foot wide planted buffer yard shall be installed around the perimeter of the tower compound to shield all structures. There will be no guide wires or anchors with this because the monopole design supports the structure itself. And then planting species, it describes the planting species that should be implemented within the buffer yard. So it will have fencing, it will have setbacks outside of the fencing. It will have a buffer yard, which is landscaping around the fence. Next slide, please. If there are additional plantings, they would be evergreen shrubs, 3 feet height at installation and mature to a height of 6 feet. Co-location is required on all our towers here in town, in which the applicant has proposed co-location, meaning that Verizon would be the main carrier on this tower, but I'm drawing a blank here. Sprint, Alltel, T-Mobile would have room too as well. So they would, the tower would permit another 2 carriers in addition to Verizon on the tower. So we made that in the ordinance so that there's only 1 tower there, and we don't have the need to construct more towers for each carrier. Radio and TV disturbance, radio, television, or similar reception for adjoining residentially zoned properties shall not be disturbed or diminished. The applicant has to submit statements on the next slide here. Statement of effect on property values, which they have submitted. Statement regarding electromagnetic interference, the piece we just mentioned. The statement of financial responsibility, which means that if the tower is removed for whatever reason, it will be at the sole expense of the tower owner, and the removal will occur within 90 days of the zoning administrator's written notification of the need for removal. So if we ever have problems, we can direct the owner to remove the tower. Next slide, please. Another statement that the applicant had to submit is a statement regarding co-location, meaning that they will allow other carriers on the tower. And then a statement regarding structural integrity, meaning that the tower is deemed sufficient by a licensed architect. And they have stamped that as well and submitted that as well. So all of their statements have been submitted, checked for completion and compliance, and they have been. The tower has sufficient structural integrity to accommodate 3 times the capacity of those carriers, and applicants will not be denied space on the tower unless some sort of factors, mechanical, structural, or regulatory factors prevent that from happening. Next slide, please. And then post-approval documentation. After the tower is constructed, they must submit construction certifications, lighting certifications, compliant with the FAA, post-approval construction certifications. They must submit reports every 2 years, sealed and signed by their engineer as to the structural soundness of the tower. Every 6 years, they must submit those reports as well. Next slide, please. This is an example of their site plan. Again, the buffer yard around it, those are the circles that you see. That would be the landscaping. The smaller circles are the shrub bushes. The interior rectangle is the fencing. The proposed 150-foot monopine tower is a circle in the middle of the rectangle, and the whole area encompasses the site. The applicant has requested a reduction in that buffer yard. As you can see on 3 sides of the rectangle, the buffer yard is a larger width. Next to the road at the top, it is a shorter width. The applicant proposes a reduction in the buffer yard just because there's limited space there. That would be up to the council to decide if they approve that, and or the zoning board of adjustments later on when they go back for their special use permit.
What is that reduction?
The reduction was from 25 feet to 8 feet. And
So
that is
8 feet
again,
along that buffer road that's right there behind Walmart?
behind Walmart, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next slide, please. Again, this is another rendering of the site plan as well. The rectangles within the larger rectangle are future equipment storages. With the towers, the carriers have to have equipment storages where they house their data, equipment, wiring, equipment to make the tower run and make the antennas on top of the tower run. And so there would be space for the first carrier as well as 3 additional carriers. Next slide, please. This is an excerpt from the master plan that was originated when Louisburg Plaza was constructed, and it lists the permitted uses. And that's an excerpt from the Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting where it says, no, the applicant did not agree to this change, and the change is unacceptable to the applicant, everything after the first sentence. So the permitted uses are single-family dwellings, family dwelling, home occupations, residential condominiums, and cooperative cemeteries and tattooing. Those are allowed as permitted uses. And now we would be adding wireless communications towers as a permitted use. Next slide, please. This is the example of a monopine tower. Again, it does look like a traditional cell phone tower. You can still see the antennas to a certain degree, but it does have that camouflaging at the top where it makes it look like a pine tree. Next slide, please. This is just an example of the tower radius. Research that I did to show that there are no other towers within that 1,500-foot radius of this proposed tower. The middle of the circle is the dot where the proposed site would be, and 1,500 feet, there are no other towers in that vicinity. I also sent an email to Franklin County E911 Communications because they have constructed a new tower in the back of the sheriff's station on T. Kemp Road, and they agreed that this tower would have no interference with their tower. Next slide, please. This is just another example of the tower radius, 0.28 miles equals 1,500 feet. So again, you can see that the radius does not go all the way up to the sheriff's station, which is on T. Kemp Road, where you see the roads in the middle of T. Kemp Road. Next slide, please. And then here is an actual point on the map where the Franklin County E911 tower was just constructed. Next slide, please. That is the end of my presentation. I do have here a letter that I would like to read that was submitted by OLG Properties LLC, 1010 Harriman Street in Great Falls, Virginia. Dear Mr. Satterwhite, I am writing to express my strong opposition to any zoning amendment regarding the location of a cell tower in the Walmart shopping center. We own and lease 497 Retail Way, Louisburg, NC, to the USPS. While I understand the need for telecommunications infrastructure, I believe that the health risks associated with radiation and electromagnetic fields, EMF, are a significant concern for the sake of users and employees of the USPS. Numerous studies have indicated a link between prolonged exposure to EMF radiation and health issues such as glioma and acoustic neuroma. RF radiation was classified as Group 2B, a possible human carcinogen, according to the World Health Organization. The health and safety of the community employees of the USPS facility are jeopardized in the event that a cell tower is allowed adjacent to our property. I do not oppose the construction of an independent senior living apartment building as described in your letter dated February 27th. However, I urge you to reject a master plan amendment at 705 Herman Kemp Boulevard involving cell towers. Further, the solution to a suitable location of a cell tower facility is to install it on a large property with an adequate distance away from dense development such as the Walmart Center. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. Hope to see a decision that prioritizes the health and safety of our community. Sincerely, George T. Davis, Member Manager. Again, that was from the property owner who leases the property to the United States Postal Service on Retail Way. Upon some further research that I did, the gentleman is correct that the radiation has been classified as a human carcinogen. However, the distance away from the tower and the radio frequency that is emitted from each antenna, the FAA and other organizations have ruled it not to be harmful to humans if it's a certain distance away. The tower is 150 feet high, in which the antennas are installed at the top, and then the distance away from the cell tower to the USPS is a total of 749 feet or 236 meters, which puts it in that non-harmful distance. So according to the FAA's regulations, the distance that the cell tower is proposed would not harm the persons working at the USPS. But I did want to read that letter to the council, and that is it for my presentation.
Okay, you, citizens, you have heard that, the proposal by, Mr. Satterwhite. Is there anyone who have heard this, have, an opinion opposing it? You've already heard one, yeah, okay. Oh, okay. See that? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you so much. Council members, thank you for allowing me to present in front of you all today and people, townspeople of Louisburg. My name is Shazad Mahmood. I work with Kimley Horn and Associates. Kimley Horn and Associates is an architect engineering firm here in the US, and we were hired by SBA Communications. SBA Communications is a cell tower owner and developer throughout the United States. They, in tandem with Walmart and with Verizon, have found an area of significant need for coverage and capacity located within the town of Louisburg, and that's why we're here before you today presenting this proposal. Yeah. Here, which was previously shown, is the proposed location. In my opinion, from an outsider's look at this and the location of the tower, it is at the rear of the Walmart, surrounded by significant wooded areas, also behind the Walmart. So the Walmart also aids in hiding the tower in the rear. We specifically try to choose them in areas where they are less conspicuous and less open to line of sight for the public. So as you can see here, we're located in an area that's furthest away from NC 56 as well as Retail Way. You can go ahead to the next one. And here is to the right, just a profile view of the tower itself. We previously said it's a 150-foot monopine tower, unmanned. The tower meets all state, local, and federally regulated requirements. The site meets all FCC and FAA guidelines. I want to clarify too that this tower went through an FAA review study and has an FAA determination, which states that lighting is not required for this tower based off of its height and its location, and that document can be provided to the town. Also, SBA designs its towers from day one to be structurally capable to accommodate at minimum 3 carriers. As you can see there, the bold antennas that you see are the 3 carriers that they propose. Right now, Verizon is what we call the anchor tenant. If this tower gets approved, they will be the first to install their equipment, and through SBA studies, they have a strong belief that AT&T and T-Mobile will follow closely thereafter because there's a strong need for coverage and capacity within the area for them as well. You can go to the next. Again, the compound is located at the rear of the existing Walmart. The site meets all setback requirements within this zoning district. The existing Walmart access will be used for compound access, and there's no new access that is being proposed for the site. As we stated before, the compound itself enough space for multiple carriers to place their ground equipment onto it. Again, we designed it that way so that from day one, no additional modifications will be needed, no additional space, no reason to have to come back and request additional approvals from the town. From day one, it's being designed in a fashion that once the first carrier installs, if the second carrier sees the need, they're easily going to be able to co-locate their equipment and won't have to look anywhere else. This tower will serve this area for the foreseeable future and has ample space for multiple carriers to place their equipment on it, as well as public service, if service would want to place their equipment on it as well. As Terry said, a landscape buffer will be provided around the entire compound. I know we alluded to the fact that there is we're going to request a variance for the buffer to the front. The only reason for that is, and I know you can't see it here, but when you go to the site, there's a grading issue there where the site begins to fall off and fall back. So that's why we had to push the tower closer to the front or closer to the curb. And as a result, it reduced our landscape buffer in the front. The two utilities required for a cell tower are power and fiber. Both of those will be demarked to an H-frame. Both of those will be through underground utilities to the site. I also wanted to add that SBA designs its towers with what they call breakpoint technology. Number one, the tower is designed with state and federally regulated standards. They're designed to withstand at this location 115 mile/hour winds in accordance with the Telecommunications Industry Association standards ANSI TIA 222-H, which is the latest and greatest design standards required for the tower. The tower itself also has is designed in a way that if it were to fail, in the lowest of percentage chances that it were to fail, you can see here is a signed and sealed letter from the tower manufacturer that tower would fall on itself. That meaning that the tower would bend and stay within the compound, not going into it's designed in a way essentially where it would fall on itself and within the compound. Lastly, we completed photo simulations as well of the monopine. The numbers that you see here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are the locations that we took those photo simulations from. So go ahead, go to the next one. So this is the first existing, and then you can see the proposed, which is at the number 1 location. Go ahead. This is at the number 2 location. The number 3 location, and then finally this is at the 4th location. This kind of shows you that grade that I was talking about, how it starts to fall near the rear of the property. With that, just a little bit about RF and its propagation. There are 2 main drivers that prompt a need for a new cell tower. One is coverage and the other is capacity. The difference between the two is coverage is the need to expand wireless service into an area that either has no service or it has bad service. The request for service often comes from customers or emergency personnel. Expansion of service could mean improving the signal levels in a large apartment complex or a new residential community. It could also mean providing new services along a newly built highway or area where people congregate. Capacity is the need for more wireless resources. Cell sites have a limited amount of resources to handle voice calls, data connections, and data volume. When these limits are reached, user experience quickly degrades. This could mean customers may no longer be able to make or receive calls, nor be able to browse the internet. It could also mean that web pages will be very slow to download. I visited the area. This is my 2nd time here. I have AT&T as my carrier. When I go to the site, I'm unable to send out texts. I'm unable to send out photos. My GPS stops working in and around that area. And this is a specific need and issues that the carriers are seeing with this area, and part of why we are proposing the site. So these were the 2 towers that we did find within the area, one being 0.75 miles away, the other one being 1.15. Those are the 2 existing towers that are serving this area. Go to the next slide. This next slide shows you once the tower were built and up and running, what we believe the coverage map would look like and how far it would reach based off of the height of the tower that we are proposing here today. Okay, with that, that's the end. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to present. If you have any questions, please feel free.
From looking at your photos, it looks like the straight shot going down that easement way behind Walmart along Johnny's as well. It looks like you got a clear shot of that. It doesn't really seem so much as behind the building. Is this an accurate representation?
Can you go back to, I think you're talking about position 4.
On my packet's gonna be page 110, so it's not gonna be full yours, but.
Can you go to the photo sim up there?
There you go. Yeah. So if you can go to next page, there we go. There we go, right there.
Yeah.
Position number 2, back one page. Yep. Position 2 proposed. See that straight shot that goes down there?
I think that's angled. We are behind the Walmart.
So you are behind the wall.
Yeah, I think this is just like the way they took the photo. We are behind the Walmart.
Probably the other question that I would have is, we talk about the monophyletic.
Monopine?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That one. How high up does that design go? Does it go, how far down from the bottom to the top? Does it look like a tree? I mean, I've seen some that really get full out. I've seen some like, oh wow, that's a tower. I couldn't even tell it. And then, this one here, I mean, I can tell it's a tower, so.
Yeah. So we're open to, so the branches on this one, I believe, start at 100 feet. So there's 50 feet of branches.
Okay.
Now, again, originally what we had proposed, so let me go back. If it's the town's request to add additional branches, that's something that we would be open to.
Okay.
And we've done in the past.
Okay.
So this was just based off of our last planning board hearing, we're asked to change the tower to a monopine, which we did. And we can, if we thought it was better from an aesthetic perspective, that we add additional branches, then definitely we can bring that down to an area that the zoning team believes is fit.
Based off my perception of the photo that I'm being presented, because that's what I've got to take with Wade.
Yeah.
And I hear, what you're saying, that you are behind the building. I personally would love to see more branches on it.
Yeah.
I don't know how my other colleagues feel here, but aesthetics is something that's important, especially within a community like Louisburg that's bringing a lot to it. And, I mean, we have the water tower there. We have the other 2 towers that exist. Who knows what's coming tomorrow? I like to think about that. I like to, so I request respectfully, and if the other colleagues, council members agree with me, I would like to see more branches on it personally.
Would you guys, so if so the tower is 150 feet, we started branches at the halfway point at 75 feet. Is there a specific height that you all would recommend, or should I go back? Just
Well, you could consider doing it, within the realm of the surrounding trees. How so it'll be.
so the top of the trees that are currently there.
Yeah.
Try and keep the bottom of the branches at minimum there. We've done that in the past, absolutely.
I think that just would be more aesthetically pleasing.
Understood.
I understand the needs of it. And I don't have any cell phone problems unless I, make my way to Franklinton on the back roads. But, I understand that the needs are there, but I think it would be a good thing that if we considered that personally.
Understood, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shadow White mentioned about health. Someone had concerns about health.
Yeah.
People's health. Will that affect those who are working at Walmart?
So the Walmart is right adjacent to the tower, right? But the actual antennas are 150 feet up in the air. So number one, the FCC is the federal regulatory commission that regulates what is emitted from these antennas. And they only allow what they allow is what's taken into consideration for public safety and public health. Verizon is required to design and only emit to that regulation, no more, no less. So that being said, the fact that it's so high and Walmart is there, in my opinion, and that would not affect those people in an adverse way.
Any questions from citizens?
Mayor, I got
You got
Sir, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned, you said there was no need for lights
Correct.
on that. I mean, we have a few airports around the area. I can't remember the last time I saw this, but sometimes we see helicopter drop in over at the restaurant there as well. So I think of that in terms of a safety perspective as well. You know, our EMS throughout fire departments, you know, they get a lot of calls around here, and so I worry about the non-light factor. I respect, not an engineer in any respect to understanding this. What is the determines, I understand the height.
Yeah.
But do we take into consideration flight paths that are happening around here?
That's exactly
I'm
right.
probably going too far down the rabbit hole,
No,
but
no, no. That's a great question. So when I stated that an FAA determination is completed on every single tower that SBA owns, so in general, SBA owns 10 to 15,000 towers in the US. Their number one concern is safety. Airplanes, helicopters, flight path. The FAA does a review of this tower at this specific location, at this specific height, and takes into consideration all flight patterns for local, state helipads, as well as international airports, local airports, and things of that nature. They provide us with a document which states we've completed our determination, our review of this location, of its height, and based off of our understanding of all flight paths within the area, this tower, they'll either say will require lighting or will not require lighting. So based off of this location, we can provide that to the town. We've done that many times in the past. Based off of that review, so they regulate lighting. But that being said, we've also had jurisdictions that request lighting either way for the safety of it. So it's not, again, not something we'd be opposed to, but just know that the requirement comes from the FAA. They are the regulating body for tower lighting based off of location and height.
Any questions from the public?
What would the environmental impact be? I mean, considering that we've already lost 30% of our songbirds, this is high enough to protect human health. But what is its impact on wildlife, and specifically birds with all of that radiation?
Correct. So there, when it comes to wildlife, number one, so towers and tower sites are actually there's more stringent regulations on environmental regulations on towers than any other development that you can consider. That being said, there has been no correlation between antenna towers and health issues or issues with wildlife that correlate the two. I'll be honest. So I live in Florida. We have a lot of ospreys. The ospreys nest on the towers, and they're federally protected birds. In all honesty, more birds use it as a nest, and it has not had any adverse effect.
So there's no adverse effect on population?
There is nothing that has been provided.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Anyone else have any general comments as it relates to this issue, the tower here? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. The next item is item number 10, the amendment to official zoning map, rezoning for parcel 018118 306 Sandalwood Avenue. Mr. Satterwhite.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, citizens of Louisburg. The amendment before us now is a rezoning at 306 Sandalwood Avenue. The existing zoning district is medium density residential R2, and the proposed zoning district is a planned development district. Next PowerPoint. Yes. The applicant has requested to, first of all, change the name of the applicant. Between the planning board meeting that was held and this meeting tonight, the new applicant is Wood Reserve LLC. That does not change the proposal at all. That does not require them to resubmit at all. They can change their name. That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to make that statement that Wood Reserve is the applicant's name from here forward. And they are requesting to rezone the above mentioned 5.41 acre parcel to construct a multifamily project. And the attached site plan in your packets highlights the residential development with a total projection of total 68 units. Our 2030 comprehensive plan identifies this area as part of the Woods neighborhood and states the land use policy as this area is predominantly residential neighborhood and is anticipated to continue meeting the residential needs into the future. As it is in close proximity to downtown, Depot Hill, and the Tar River, it is anticipated that future growth in this neighborhood may occur at a slightly higher density. That said, the plan recommends that this area will remain mostly residential, but that the residential should meet the growth of the town, the needs, the growth of the town. The zoning elements: to the north, there's office institutional. To the east, there's low density residential, single family homes. To the south, there's medium density residential, another apartment, multifamily project. And then to the west is highway business B2. The uses for this development would be multifamily, the lots and setbacks. The project proposes that the project will be owned by single common ownership and that the units will be for rent. This means that there will be no individual lots. The multifamily project proposed will have maximum areas of 1,760 square feet and 1,440 square feet respectively, being 2-bed, 2-bath units and 3-bed, 2-bath units. Price points proposed are between $1,400 and $1,600. The proposed setbacks are in the front 10 feet, the sides 10 feet, and in the rear 10 feet. The environmental and open space: the project sets aside 2 areas of open space dispersed around the south and north side of the project area. One is reserved as a dog park, the other as an open area with amenity benches and a 5-foot natural walking surface trail leading up to the benches. All open space areas will be private and owned by the property owner. Landscaping: the project proposes 1 canopy tree 40 feet per 40 feet of street frontage and 1 understory tree per 30 feet of street frontage. The landscape buffer will be adjacent to the proposed zoned low density residential and will feature 3 canopy trees and 2 evergreen trees per 100 feet. The project proposes that the outer portions of the development along street frontages will have a 5-foot wide sidewalk to enhance pedestrian connectivity and safety. Sidewalks internal to the site will include ADA accessible ramps, detectable warning strips, and crosswalks where necessary. The sidewalks will be constructed of concrete, except the 2 natural surface trails internal to the project. The project proposed plans to keep the architectural design similar to what is seen in the rendering of the multifamily project. To our knowledge, hardy plank would be the proposed material. They would be a 2-story design, and they would look like townhomes, but they are not townhomes. This is a multifamily project. The proposed use is master plan development, a PD, from our zoning ordinance. That use is consistent with the 2030 plan. The access and circulation for the project proposes 5 roads internal to the subdivision. The internal circulation proposes 2 22-foot wide drive aisles both ways. And the project proposes that the entrances will have full access capability: right turn in, left turn in, right turn out, left turn out. The site elements: the number proposed is again 68 units. 26 of the units proposed have 22-foot by 40-foot dimensions, and the remaining 42 units would be 18 feet by 40-foot dimensions. Each unit will be allotted 2 parking stalls, and the stalls will be 10 foot wide by 20 foot deep. in compliance with our ordinance. The minimum drive aisle proposed is 22 feet and the maximum is 36 feet. Parking and drive aisles are to be constructed of asphalt with concrete curb and gutter internal to the property. The maximum height limit proposed is 35 feet, which again lends to a 2-story design. And the site proposes a density of 13.5 units per acre. The project does not propose monument signage at this time. There are 2 types of freestanding signage proposed, which are stop signs and ADA reserve signs as required by law. The project proposes to install appropriate site lighting and building lighting to accent the homes at night and promote safe exposure to the area. The project proposes that the entirety of the project will be served by the town of Louisburg water and sanitary sewer. Electrical power is available to serve the site as well. And then a series of on-site curb inlets and catch basins will be provided to ensure that the development site runoff is captured and disposed into a stormwater control measure. At this time, staff does not support the application as proposed due to the density being higher than recommended and may cause adverse effects on the existing neighborhood. The use of a planned development district is appropriate for the applicant to implement this type of project. The proposed use is consistent with the 2030 comprehensive plan as it serves the Woods neighborhood and would increase the range of housing types in this area. Staff recommends that the density of the planned development should be decreased to what our comprehensive plan recommends, 6 to 8 dwelling units per acre instead of the 13.5 proposed.
So what would that total?
That total would be around 40 units. They have 5.41 acres, so anywhere from 40 to 45 units as a
That's
total.
what that zone, R2 zoning allows already,
Correct, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what are we bound by legally according to our zoning ordinance? What do we have to be?
So according to our zoning ordinance, there's 2 scenarios. We approve this project with the developer agreeing to reduce the density. We approve this project as is, or we deny this project. If the project is denied, the developer by right could build, or someone else could build a multifamily project because the parcel is already zoned R2, which allows multifamily. However, if that scenario were to present itself, because of our other zoning regulations and rules, they would be limited. Because for one, the setbacks, they prescribe 10-foot front setbacks, 10-foot side setbacks, 10-foot rear setbacks. Per our ordinance, our setbacks now are 30 in the front, 10 on the sides, and 15 in the rear, which automatically shrinks the envelope of what's allowed to be built there. Plus, they still have requirements for parking, stormwater management, open space, and other intricacies of the ordinance that would limit what they are allowed to build. So by right, I did some basic calculations, and to my calculations, they would maybe be able to get, again, somewhere around 40 units by right. Again, that is, allowed by right by our zoning ordinance. However, their architect would have to really fit it in there to make that work. So not saying that they couldn't do that, it may lend itself to maybe even being less if it was withdrawn and they went to R2 and implemented the project in R2, maybe even less than 40. But I would think as a max, maybe 40, maybe 43, 45 by right.
So Terry, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So if it's denied,
Yes, sir.
they could sell it and there's no control
That's correct.
That is correct.
on our.
In the sense of, yes, if they withdraw their application and someone else were to buy this parcel, then the town council and the planning board would not have a role in the decision-making of what goes there. It would be administrative approval, and honestly, it probably.
The resident could possibly hurt.
It could possibly hurt them in the sense of, I think personally, in my opinion, staff opinion, the aesthetic might change.
Yeah.
The aesthetic might change as it is presented now. The aesthetic now is, it looks like townhomes. They're not townhomes, but it has a nice aesthetic to it. If it was withdrawn and someone else bought this property, it could lend to a traditional multifamily apartment building, and they could build one of those, and it might not be as aesthetically pleasing as it is now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would like to read a petition here that was signed and penned by the residents of the Woods neighborhood, including 28 signatures from the neighborhood. Statement of opposition. We, the undersigned property owners, residents, and stakeholders of the Woods neighborhood, hereby formally protest and oppose the requested zoning change referenced above. We request that the governing body deny this application. Our opposition is based on the following specific ways we believe the proposed action will be detrimental to our community. Incompatibility with the existing character. The proposed zoning change is incompatible with the established density and character of our current neighborhood, which is a combination of low residential and office institutional. Infrastructure and traffic burden. The proposed change will lead to a significant increase of congestion and potentially create unsafe pedestrian conditions. Public safety and nuisance hazards. The proposed development threatens public safety due to increased noise levels, increased water runoff in an area that is already prone to flooding, inadequate parking, and lack of emergency and fire access. Negative impact on property values. This change will potentially negatively impact the enjoyment of use and value surrounding single-family residential properties. Violation of the 2030 Comprehensive Plan. In our opinion, the proposed rezoning does not align with the goals and objectives outlined in Louisburg's 2030 Comprehensive Plan. Excuse me. Single-family residential should, quote from the plan, single-family residential should continue to be the predominant land use, with multifamily and non-residential permitted adjacent to Highway 56 and existing non-residential development. Single-family land uses should be protected from additional encroachment of non-residential uses along the interior street network. This area will maintain a mixture of R1, R2, and O&I district designation, provided that the sufficient site design strategies and adequate buffering of potential institutional or office uses are provided to promote compatibility with residential uses. High traffic generators are not recommended, end quote, from the comprehensive plan. The density on the Louisburg 2030 Comprehensive Plan is stated as single family, 3 to 4 dwelling units per acre, or multifamily, 6 to 8 dwelling units per acre. Please see the attached signatures, and I will pass this around for the council to view. Again, there were 28 signatures pinned on the petition. I have another letter that I'd like to read from a Miss Vanessa Perry. Dear Planning Board members, I'm writing to formally and strongly oppose the proposed rezoning of parcel ID 01118 from medium density residential to planned development. My name is Vanessa D. Perry, and I'm the owner and resident of 212 Tanglewood Drive. This change will have a direct impact on my property and my personal everyday living. Additionally, the change is not in the best interest of the established community surrounding the property. Our neighborhood was built and purchased with the understanding that it would remain a peaceful residential area, offering the quiet and stability that drew us here in the first place. Rezoning threatens to undo that stability and will negatively affect the quality of life for residents who have invested in and maintained this community for decades. Here are my specific concerns. 1, increased traffic and safety risks. Rezoning will bring significant increases in both foot and automobile traffic. We're already dealing with heavy congestion and unsafe cross-traffic patterns from the nearby DMV. Adding a higher density development will only make matters worse. Increased traffic tends to correlate with higher crime rates, creating safety concerns for families who choose this area for its quiet and secure character. Number 2, impact on property values and insurance costs. Higher density development often leads to more calls for law enforcement and higher incidents of vandalism or theft. These trends inevitably push insurance rates up for existing homeowners. Property values may decline when peaceful established neighborhoods are disrupted by large scale or high density projects. Number 3, loss of community character. This is an established private neighborhood with long-standing roots. The proposed change disrupts the very character that the residents brought into. We choose to live at the back of this area precisely for the peace and separation from busier developments. This proposal disrespects that choice and undermines the integrity of the community. In summary, this rezoning proposal is not a minor change. It poses real and lasting harm to existing residents, our peace of mind, and our financial well-being. I am not maybe or somewhat against this. I am fully and unequivocally opposed to changing zoning from R2 to PD. I urge the planning board and town council to reject this rezoning application in order to preserve the safety, stability, and quality of life for current Franklin County homeowners. Again, those were 2 letters of opposition, one being a petition that was signed by 28 of the residents. The second one was a letter sent to me directly from Mrs. Perry. And I'd like to go through a couple of slides here that I prepared. So this is the existing site, the 5.41 acres. Please disregard that the parcel is separated. The applicant has gotten control of the entire parcel, 018118, as well as 016681. And that's where they would be implementing the project. The proposed site design, as you can see here, was a mistake for one, because this was the original site plan, in which this one only has a total of 52 units, excuse me. The proposal now is 68 units. It lends to the same type of design, but there is an additional road implemented. Excuse me, no, not an additional road, just more additional units. The stormwater control measures, as you can see, are to the far right at the top and at the bottom. A larger stormwater control pond and then a smaller one down near the bottom. The amenity benches are situated in the middle. The dog park, excuse me, is at the far southern corner of the site development. And again, the roads, they are 2-way access roads, 22-foot wide drive aisles, in which they would have 3 means of access on Sandalwood, 1 on Hazelwood, and then 1 on Tanglewood. This is the excerpt from the 2030 comprehensive plan, in which it mentions the land use policy, the recommended density, utilities, transportation, the character of the neighborhood, and then planning initiatives. This is from the traffic impact analysis that was submitted back in April. The executive summary: this traffic impact analysis report examines the potential traffic impact associated with the proposed Trey Bar townhomes in Louisburg, NC. The study is being provided as part of the rezoning process. The project site is bounded by 4 roads. It is located south of Sandalwood Avenue, west of Tanglewood Drive, north of Hazelwood Place, and east of Dogwood Drive. The project will consist of the construction of 68 townhomes. 3 site accesses are proposed on Sandalwood, again, single on Tanglewood, single on Dogwood. The trip generation in full build-out conditions is projected to add 447 daily trips, 32 trips in the AM peak hour, and 35 trips in the PM peak hour. Those peak hours means 6 to 7 in the morning, 5 to 6 in the afternoon. So though those numbers are smaller, it only measures a certain hour during that time, during the peak hours of travel. At study intersection 1, it's recommended that the westbound Sandalwood Avenue approach to US 401 be restricted to right turns only. With this restriction in place, the minor street of Sandalwood Avenue is projected to operate at an acceptable level of service. That means that from Sandalwood, there would be up at Bickett Boulevard, you would only be allowed to make a right turn out instead of existing. Now you can make a left turn going back towards 401 South, going back across the boulevard. We all know that is a dangerous intersection it is. And so the right turn would be one of our recommendations as well. The right turn only is Sandalwood. And then in study intersection 2, East Nash Street and Dogwood Drive, Tucker Drive, no changes are recommended. So that means going back on Dogwood Drive, passing the DMV, making a left back onto East Nash Street, and then maybe making another left back onto 401 South. There are no changes recommended for that portion at that intersection. The other recommendations.
Consider the shopping center entrance in their analysis,
They did not, no, sir.
which is totally inadequate. The analysis is, to me, this is irrelevant if they didn't consider that. Because what's gonna happen when they make that right turn only, I mean, I own a building back there and I practiced out of there for a long time. If I wanted to go down south on Pickett Boulevard, I always went to the traffic light at the shopping center. And everybody else back there is gonna do the same thing if they make that right turn only.
I have concerns over there too, because, there's a daycare center that's over there. And if that's the easiest route to get in with no restrictions, how can that have an effect? I mean, we already know what the DMV does for parking. I mean, that was a struggle to get through that. I mean, that was before my time on the council, but I watched enough of that show to understand it.
I was heavily involved in that.
I bet you were.
Yes, sir. It was quite a
so,
congestion backup.
and I worry about that. I worry about that impact of the citizens over there in terms of several factors. And I've toured that area many times and met with many of the citizens, and I worry about it. And my concerns are also, what are we bound to legally? I touch base on that. I mean, we're in a tough spot here.
And you say the choices. You had mentioned 3 choices at the beginning of your presentation. One is that if we rejected it, then that leaves the door open for them possibly selling it. And then someone comes in that we do whatever they want and we have no control. Is that right?
I would caution that the control that we have is, we do have minimal control. If they were to withdraw, again, the envelope that they could build upon would be shrunk. And so the density wouldn't be as high as 68 units. I'm fairly certain of that for sure, that it wouldn't be 68 units. Now, would it still be a high traffic generator? In my opinion, yes. No matter what's built there, it's going to be a high traffic
It's
generator.
already been approved R2, and we can't change it.
We cannot change that.
Right, and R2 would allow approximately 44 units on that property, give or take.
And again, I want to explain that, yes, it would allow 40 units, but what they can actually build within the envelope, again, would be shrunk. I believe. So maybe they could get 40 units, maybe, but that would be
the
stretch.
max.
That would be pretty much the max, yes, sir.
And we would have no input on the aesthetics of that. So you could
Correct,
end up with a beautiful pink building, or that's your thing. I mean,
correct.
So either way, something is gonna be built there, whether we say yay or nay. Either
I
way.
would imagine yes, because this is a parcel that has been sold to the current property owner.
Okay.
But if they can't do what they want, then if it were me, I would sell it and allow someone else to build on it. So I don't see why they wouldn't.
And the other condition that you had indicated is that would put conditions on them. What were the first 2 options that you stated?
Yes, sir.
If we,
You could either accept it as is with the 68 units, or when the developer comes up and the council has questions for them, there could be an agreement reached. And if they agree to reduce the density, A, or maybe implement some more traffic control, B, then that would be what goes from now, and they would be held to that if they agree here at the meeting tonight.
Terry, I've got high concerns too about the widths of the roads over there. They're what, about 20 feet? in
Yes, I
width?
believe so. Existing roads are 20 feet wide.
So, I mean, 20 feet, how does that broach on the safety aspect for the citizens that are in that area?
The next part of their executive summary kind of mentions a little bit about that. Their third recommendation, or excuse me, second recommendation is double yellow lines. And so they would be dividing the traffic there. And so the traffic would, it operates two ways now, but they would put those double yellow lines there to separate the traffic.
That's to the extent that they would do it. What about widening?
No, sir, they have not recommended widening.
And could that possibly would be one of the options that we could,
Present to the applicant, yes, sir.
yeah.
But again, they have to agree to it here in writing and say, yes, we agree to that, to these changes to the proposal.
They would have to agree to that tonight?
Tonight, yes, sir. Before.
Is that something that's even possible for them to do that, being that they're not the owners of the property and then the ones get the, maybe I don't know.
That's an excellent point, and probably not. They would probably have to go and speak to their representative, their teams, and then we would end up tabling it until an agreement could be reached.
Maybe we could ask the developer that question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I just have a few more slides.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you can. Again, double yellow lines are recommended to be placed on various roads surrounding the project site. Dogwood Drive from Hazelwood Place to East Nash Street. Sandalwood Avenue from US 401 to Tanglewood Drive. Tanglewood Drive from Hazelwood Place to Sandalwood Avenue. So they would essentially be double striping the whole neighborhood, just about, except Pinewood down there. Now, this is another excerpt from the traffic impact analysis in which it mentions northbound approaches in relation to the 2028 build out. These are the actual numbers that they counted. Northbound approach in the AM peak hour, the volume of right turning volume was 37, left 41. The threshold for DOT is 100 minimum. So they're down at 37, 41, threshold is 100. It does not reach the threshold. And in the orange color, that is the dot. The orange dot is the PM peak hour. The right turn volume was 29. The left turn volume was 36.
Can we truly guarantee that though? Because I mean, how many vehicles are going to be up there?
That,
I mean,
you know what? And I wanted to make this point as well. That's a great question. There is no way that we can guarantee that, but it's been mentioned in the past and at the planning board meeting that these studies are done by a third party who does not have interest in their company.
they're doing the job.
However, I mean, right, they're doing their job and they stamp this to seal it and say, this was done by a professional with real data and real traffic counts. I farmed their whole traffic impact analysis out to DOT. I contacted DOT for Division 5, and Mr. Josh Kellen then farmed this out to congestion management. Congestion management reviewed the entire traffic impact analysis, and they did not have any additional recommendations. So it was, right, the question is this legit? Is their traffic impact analysis legit? According to DOT, it is.
I would expect that it would be legit. I mean, they've got licensing and, you know, that they've got to hold to. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely. They could,
you know, you would hope that somebody's doing their due diligence and integrity is in play.
absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, again, DOT congestion management did concur that A, the traffic impact act analysis the numbers seemed correct. And B, I asked them, hey, I just flat out asked them, do you think that the town should perform another traffic impact analysis ourselves to verify these numbers? And they told me, no, it would pretty much be a waste of your time and money because your traffic impact analysis would probably produce these numbers as well, or something close, very, very close to it.
And the source that we would choose to do that for us, they would not be as, well, even though they would probably be professional in what they do. But this analysis right here come from state certified people.
No, the analysis did not come from the state.
Okay.
but I asked the state to review it, the state DOT office. So Division 5, I gave it to our point of contact at the Division 5, Mr. Josh Kellen, who is the director of Division 5, and he gave it to congestion management, who reviews traffic impact analysis across the state. And again, they concurred that the number seemed correct, and that I asked them again, should we do one as well? They said no. This is at NC 56 in Dogwood Drive, Tucker Drive, eastbound approach, and this is the 2025 existing numbers. In the AM, the peak hour right turn was 15 and left turn was 79. This is the NC 56, right, from Dogwood down from the DMV as you're turning left, going back towards 401. So of course, those left turn volumes were a lot higher in the AM as people going to work, people going to school, different things. The PM peak hour was a lot less. Right turn was 23, left turn was 28. Neither one of those are even close to 100, but the AM peak hour is 79, is pretty close to 100 in the scope of these numbers and the data.
These are the numbers for what's existing now.
Correct.
It doesn't include adding 60 more homes.
That's right.
Or even any other homes that are being built currently in the area.
12 more. Which very few of them.
James, can you click next slide, please? My clicker isn't. Yeah, okay. So you can see the change. AM peak hour, it went from 79 to 83. So again, that is pretty close to 100. I think that warrants some concern from council as well as the citizens, that those levels of service, meaning how long you sit there and wait to go.
Well, there's the other issue is that that's a dangerous intersection. I'm making a left turn. Do we have any accident data on what has occurred at that age?
I do not know, sir.
Even at the light.
No, this is it.
I know, I'm saying even at the light also is a lot of accidents, even at that traffic light.
But you don't have a lot of sight distance when you're making a left turn.
On Dogwood to 56?
On Dogwood to 56.
Yes, sir, you're right.
I used to ride my bicycle out there and had quite a few close calls.
Dr. Stover, just to give some insight, a resident reached out and asked some of these questions about accidents in those locations. If I recall, at 56 in Dogwood, there were 2. And at Sandalwood, there was 10, and I think actually one happened this past week, so I think that's 11. However, it all depends on how it's coded in the system. So if someone puts Wade and Bickett, it's probably not going to pick up Sandalwood, or it's not going to pick up, and if they put 56 in Bickett, it's not going to pick up Dogwood. So I don't know that the numbers would equate to what maybe is being asked, but if it's coded the way it should be, the numbers that were provided, I think, are 2 and 11 in maybe the last year, 6 months. I forget the exact time frame, but somewhere thereabouts. But it had been questioned.
These are the actual peak hour volumes at the different intersections. In the bottom left, you can see NC 401 is the road that goes vertical. Sheets driveway in Sandalwood is the road that goes horizontal. A left turn from Sandalwood, there were 21 in the morning, 9 in the afternoon. A right from Sandalwood going north on 401 in the morning were 20, in the afternoon 51. And then back from Dogwood, these are all existing peak hour volumes. From Dogwood going left onto 56, as we just discussed. In the morning, there were 17, and in the evening, there were 221. So in the evening, we can see that the frequency of cars vehicularly traveling on Dogwood onto 56, in the evening, those counts were a little bit higher.
Do we know what day this data study was done on?
Back in April. It doesn't give an exact.
Does it give a date?
No, sir. But it does. The entire packet has a date, but not the date of the actual counts. No, sir. And then existing configurations for 2025 It just shows the different turn movements that are existing at each of those intersections. And then no build peak hour values. So this shows the no build, if it were not built in peak in 2028, how those volumes would increase. So we went from 21 to 22 from Sandalwood onto 401. And then from Dogwood to 56, we went from 221 to 231, it looks like. And that's with no build. Now, these are the 2028 site trip distributions. If it were to be built out, 50% would be going Sandalwood, 401 North, and 40% would be put out on Dogwood going to 56, making that left back to 401 North. Another 10% would be going east on 56, making that right turn from Dogwood. These are the site generated trips. If it were to build out, there would, in the AM peak hour, we have 10 going from Sandalwood to 401 and 6 in the evening. And going on from Dogwood to 56, we have 10 in the morning and 6 in the evening. Those are just the added trips from the build out, not the total. Now, these are the total peak hour volumes. 32 in the morning, 16 in the evening, making the left from Sandalwood onto 401, and then 28 in the morning and 291, making a left from Dogwood onto 56. So to your point, Councilman Stover, the traffic would be dispersed onto other intersections. Most of it, according to the traffic impact analysis, being distributed from Dogwood onto NC 56. Now, this is the reassigned volume with them implementing that right turn only at Sandalwood. Those volumes have changed. The right turn would be 57 in the AM, 83 in the PM, making that right turn. And then from Dogwood to 56 would be 29 in the morning and 291 in the evening. These are, again, the intersection configurations in which the green arrow shows the right only turn from Sandalwood onto 401. And then all the rest stay the same, as there were no other recommendations for intersection configurations. This is a figure of the actual right turn only at Sandalwood onto Bickett Boulevard and how they would install signage and stripe the road with the double striping there in the middle. And that is the end of the traffic impact analysis. Again, the traffic impact analysis does show quite a bit of vehicular traffic generated from the build out. It is confirmed that that traffic would be redistributed probably onto Dogwood making the left, because most people won't want to go to Sandalwood, make a right, and then go to the light, make a U-turn, and go back down 401 South. At this time, are there any other questions, additional questions from the council from me?
If not, are there any other questions from the citizens have relates to this? We appreciate your correspondence in voicing your support and also your opposition to this.
And the developer has a presentation.
Okay. And yes, sir. The developer. Okay.
Why he's doing that. Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. Folks here that took the time out this evening to come and listen to us tell you about this project here at 306 Sandalwood Avenue. My name is Preston Royster. I work with Thomas Sutton Engineering Company. We're the engineering director for this project. Staff did a great job explaining, laying this out for you, but I'll go through it really quickly. The site's located between Sandalwood Avenue, Hazelwood Place, Tanglewood Drive, and Dogwood Drive. The site is surrounded by various zonings. To the north, you've got some OI. To the west, there's some commercial. To the east and south, there's some residential R1. And to the immediate south and west, there's R2, which actually is an existing multifamily site. I know one of the objections was no multifamily in this area, but there's already a multifamily there. This shows the existing uses around the area. So we've got predominantly existing single family. There is some existing office, industrial, commercial around here. We feel the site's in a transitional area or a transition location from the single family residential to the commercial. Generally, you don't want single family abutting directly to the commercial. Just for instance, this would be the view from those single family homes on Dogwood, looking at the back of the commercial shopping center. So it's not an ideal spot for houses or for single family homes. This is the site layout. Note that this is, and Terry, or Mr. White mentioned this, it's a multifamily project. We'll get into that a little bit. That was a point of clarification for the planning board. They look like, these buildings look like townhomes, but they are multifamily, single ownership. The site plan before you shows the proposed drive aisles, the location of parking, the location of the units, and the sidewalks and the infrastructure associated with it. Note there is a little bigger buffer on the southwest side or southeast side, I'm sorry, against Tanglewood Avenue. So there would be a little bit more separation between the proposed units and the existing residences on the opposite side of Tanglewood, sorry. So to give a little bit more of a buffer there. So this is what the proposed buildings, or what the proposed buildings would look like. The goal here is to develop the site that's currently underdeveloped or undeveloped and provide something that looks nice. We feel this is a nice looking product. It would fit well. It wouldn't be intrusive to the existing single family dwellings. It wouldn't look like a true multifamily building, and we'll look at what that may look like here in just a second. But we heard earlier that aesthetics are important to the town, so we feel that this is a good project and a good product for this location. There again, it's transitional between the single family and the commercial, a little higher density, but in the end, it provides a nicer looking finished building and finished product. Okay, hop back over here. I'll line up a couple other things. We are proposing stormwater treatment here. I heard some potential issues or concerns with stormwater management. The site will be designed to comply with all the town's regulations, which I believe includes detention or retention, peak flow attenuation for higher design storms now, which we are committed to doing on site, and also mitigating any downstream impacts that there would be from the proposed development. All right. So as Terry, as Mr. Sawyer mentioned, the proposed zoning is PD plan development from the R2. The goal here, the PD just provides a little more flexibility. It doesn't change the use. We're not proposing commercial or office or anything like that. It wouldn't be complementary to the existing residential units in the neighborhood. It just gives us a little more flexibility with regard to setbacks, design types, things like that. So as Mr. Sidewalk mentioned, we are proposing 68 units, which is 13.5 units per acre. We'll touch on density here in a second. We are meeting all open space parking requirements, providing sidewalks, stormwater detention, as well as water quality treatment as needed. A neighborhood meeting was held actually in this building in January of this year. We heard the neighbors' concerns. Since that time, we've done a TIA. The TIA wasn't performed at that time, so we've done that to try and mitigate some concerns. Here we go. As Mr. Sidewhite mentioned, we prepared that and submitted it to the town and DOT. We'll talk about that a little more in depth in just a second. As noted, this is a multifamily project. This was something that came up at the planning board, so that's why I included these definitions here, just for reference. Okay, for the TIA, first note that the TIA is done in accordance with the NCDOT and Institute of Transportation Engineers requirements. There's not a lot of subjectivity or anything like that that is in this analysis. The traffic counts were done in accordance with DOT standards. The traffic was distributed in accordance with NCDOT and ITE standards. And the traffic generation was also done in accordance with ITE standards. It's not a judgment call on our part or any other traffic engineer's part that would say this is how many trips are going to be. It's a standard that we have to all follow. So that all analysis and developments are evaluated on a level playing field. So there again, we obtained the traffic counts. As Mr. Sideway noted, there is an increase of 32 trips in the AM peak hour, 35 trips in the PM peak hour. And these are the study intersections, Sandalwood and Beckett, Dogwood and East Nash. Mr. Stover had a concern that the analysis did not include the intersection at the shopping center. There's several reasons for that. One, that's through a private site. So we can't include a private site or a private connection as part of the analysis that would require public improvements.
Yeah, it's going to exist.
Exactly. So I get that. So one is private, we can't include it. The other thing, we can't encourage traffic to go through or across a private site. That's something that we heard at the neighborhood
We're
meeting.
not asking about encouragement, we're just asking whether or not it's going to happen.
I understand. But there again, we can't even include that if something were to happen to the traffic or something were to happen to the site. But like I said, that was something we heard at the neighborhood meeting. So we discussed that with NCDOT. So that was discussed. In reality, that folks will probably use that, and that will ease some of the pressure off the other intersections that this analysis does show. So if anything, it's going to help.
Unless the owner of the shopping center decides to block that access.
Correct. That's another reason why we couldn't include it. So as Mr. Sideway mentioned, the improvement to Sandalwood and Beckett are right turn lane out. And note that this aligns with DOT's plan to divide South Beckett Boulevard at some point in the future. No improvements at Dogwood and East Nash, and the internal streets we proposed to add a stripe. So a few things to note about this. We acknowledge there's congestion in the area. Nobody here on the development side is denying that. We understand that. With that said, that congestion is there today. So this project does not significantly increase that. In fact, at Beacon and Sandalwood, the overall number of trips didn't change as a result of the proposed development. And at East Nash and Dogwood, the trips for this project account for less than 2% of the existing trips. So it's not a significant part, the proposed development is not a significant part or significant generator to the existing traffic. And I also note, as Mr. Satterwhite mentioned, the project could be 40 units by right. I had my traffic engineers go back and rerun the numbers with 40 units compared to 68, and there's no significant change in the amount of peak hour trips. So reducing the number of units to what is allowed or to be constructed by right does not significantly reduce traffic or does not change the recommendations there as part of this, or the findings of this study. So changing density or reducing it back to the by right density doesn't magically fix the problems.
So would you be opposed to that?
Opposed to,
Going to the report?
we'll talk about that. So we'll get to that. So, and there was another question, I'm trying to answer some of the questions as we go about widening the roads. They are roughly 20 foot wide today. Note that NCDOT subdivision manual allows roads to be down to 18 feet wide. 20 foot is kind of the standard for NCDOT subdivision roads. If the roads are widened, that would be additional impact on the adjacent residents and potentially require easement acquisition, right-of-way acquisition, things like that, and result in more work or disturbance to the adjacent properties. So right now, we're not proposing to widen those roads because they meet the NCDOT standards. We don't want any more impacts to the adjacent properties than they're already going to experience as part of the project.
You do have a vast amount of open space on the left both of those roads.
Right. Generally, roads are
You
wide.
wouldn't have to necessarily encroach on the property. You could, if,
Generally, they're wide both ways. That way the road remains centered in the right way.
but if we had to.
The only time you would do asymmetrical is if you had a turn lane or something.
Yeah.
And even then, you generally have to dedicate.
Trying to
right
think
away.
of what's best to work with y'all and also work with the community,
Sure,
you know, because that's what we have to consider.
totally understand. All right. So with regards to the proposed density, I know that's a big question, obviously. As I mentioned, this is a transitional use location. The site is in a transitional use area. Densities we see, we do a lot of work in other areas, not just Louisburg, that we see for surface park multifamily projects like this are typically 20 units per acre plus. Most multifamily developers are going higher than 2 stories, so they're really packing units on, but 20 units per acre is not unheard of. So 13 and a half units per acre is not excessively high. I know it sounds high, but it's not excessively high in the realm of multifamily development. For reference, this is the Tar Grove project, which is to the southwest of the project site. So this is a typical multifamily building. This is something that could be constructed on this site by right today. A couple of things about this one. This one's 46 units on 9 acres, so it works out to be 5 units per acre. With that said, there's a lot of areas on this site that are not developable. Also, before we switch to the next slide, note there's only one way into this site, and that is through the shopping center. So this site doesn't even have a way to get out onto a public road. So with this site, if you take the area out that can be developed, such as the floodplain, the stream buffer, the sewer easement, it significantly reduces the buildable area down to 4.5 acres roughly. So if you adjust that density based on the buildable area, it comes out to be a little over 10 units per acre. So 40 units on 5 acres roughly is attainable on the project site. So if there's questions about what's available by right, 40 units could be constructed. But it would likely look more like this.
That would obviously be apartments.
Correct.
And what would you be looking at for pricing on apartments, like something like that?
I don't know, I'm not the market guy. I'm the site civil engineer. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, the appearance here would be by right. There would be no, we wouldn't have to come talk to you guys about it.
So I would say to the citizens at this point, like, this is something you guys should really consider. What do you want to look at? What makes you guys happy within the area? You obviously understand where we sit and the troubles the dilemmas that we have to face. And it's a tough one, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. This is probably one of the harder choices I've made sitting here today. Just something for you guys to consider.
I think we need to hear from
You let him finish.
Yeah.
We
Once he's finished, I think we need to hear.
We will. We will.
Okay. So a little bit more about density. As Mr. Satterwhite mentioned, this site is located in the Woods neighborhood, which there again, the R2 zone by right allows 6 to 8 units per acre, which is up to the 40 units that we discussed. Note that this is from the future land use plan, it can be changed slightly or it can be modified. It's a guide, not necessarily the code, but this area is to be developed at slightly higher densities. So if we look at the entire Woods neighborhood, it's roughly 82 acres at 3 units per acre, which is on the low side of the lower end of the spectrum for the Woods neighborhood. Future land use plan would be 246 units total. Existing, there's roughly 108 single family lots, 24 multifamily, and 6 commercial lots. This is based on real quick GIS, just count them. So, which is 132 total residential units, which would be roughly 250 to 300 residences. And note that that's about 114 units short of what's noted in the 2030 comprehensive plan. So in order to catch up or meet that delta there may be some areas that have to be developed or could be developed at higher densities to bridge that gap and get up to what the town's goals are there. And a few other points on density. I know that this is from a study from the Chamber of Commerce last February. Notice that North Carolina faces a significant housing inventory gaps across all income levels and geographic areas. I'm sure y'all are seeing it. Folks are moving further and further out of the bigger municipalities and more into the smaller towns and smaller communities. And that's all part of the housing gap that we have. There's more people that want to move to North Carolina than can physically move to North Carolina. So there's a deficit right now, or in 2025, of about 760,000 units. And that includes both rentals and for sale units. So there is a significant need and significant demand for residential units in North Carolina. And based on what Mr. Sideway said, the town's goal is to increase residential units and growth from a residential perspective. So the 306 Sandalwood project, or Avenue project, will increase the housing options as well as help bridge some of that gap. It'll also increase tax base and revenue for the town and increase available workforce to meet other town and county goals. I know the county's got big plans for industrial parks and things like that along NC 56. Folks, that in order for those industrial parks to function and grow and gain traction, you've got to have the workforce that can support that. So there again, we feel that this proposal will help bridge that gap and help meet the town's goal as well as help North Carolina in general. But with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
You did say you're proposing sidewalks in that area too, correct?
Sidewalks on the site, yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Sidewalks on the site and go back.
Yeah.
Sidewalks on the site and along the perimeter.
And that would not change no matter what decision we come across today with less units or completing to accept this plan as is, as we see it.
Can't say it wouldn't change. We would meet, if the plan was not approved, we would meet ordinance requirements, which I don't think ordinance requirements require sidewalk along the frontage.
So you can obviously imagine why I asked that question. Sidewalks are something pleasant to walk along aesthetically and also for a safety perspective. If we're increasing traffic, if we're increasing living, through those areas, just everything in the basket. It's a little bit easier to swallow that pill. We obviously have to come to some kind of a decision, but we also don't want to be at an impasse because of a sidewalk. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, I mean,
So we're talking about concrete sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
What about a greenway instead?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure where we would put a greenway on this project site.
Instead of the
I don't know. What about sidewalks?
Instead of the sidewalks.
Most time greenways are wider, so they're more intrusive.
But they also create less runoff.
No, most time greenways are paved, so they're gonna have.
This pond that you're proposing, this is a retention pond?
It will be, we don't know exactly what type, but it will meet the town's requirements for peak flow, which are the 1 year, 2 year storms. We'll also have to provide water quality treatment for nitrogen reduction and 85% total spent solids reduction. So to provide water quality as well as peak flow attenuation. And we'll also have to look downstream to ensure that we're not flooding the neighbors, obviously.
guys, please, we will hear from you.
Thank you.
Fire retention areas are great, all different types of ponds. SEM, stormwater control measures is what they're called.
I mean, if you do that as a retention pond, that's gonna be a hazard, and it's not gonna be very aesthetic.
They can be made to look really well. You can put fountains.
They can be, but they frequently aren't.
That comes down to maintenance a lot of times. The problem with the bioretention area from a peak flow perspective is you don't have much water storage. So they're great for water quality. I can't deny that one bit, but they don't provide very much volume or peak flow attenuation or reduction. So they don't solve flooding problems downstream. So we have to take all the factors into consideration and figure out which device meets all those requirements and would fit best in a development like this. Obviously, when that thing is designed, assuming it's on approved, project moves forward, it'll be designed with both peak flow attenuation, flooding mitigation, as well as water quality, as well as safety and aesthetics. I mean, it's on the front of the site. So we don't want to put something there that's going to be an eyesore. And we certainly don't want something that's going to look bad, when the rest of the community would look like that.
The other things, the flooding that exists back there is because of beavers that are in that back pond. That over there, I remember actually seeing them when I was visiting up at that property. And from what I've heard, nobody can get in touch with the owner to help mitigate that issue. So the impact that actually has on the residents in the backyard is, it's quite significant. But unfortunately, that's something that, not to be crude, but kind of bought into it, when it was there. Just how do you prevent that?
Thank you.
Happy to answer your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, now we'll have this opportunity for any citizens. You have anything to say as it relates to this as well, as it was
I have
presented?
something to say, but I'll allow the residents to speak first if they like.
Yes, ma'am. See the green light on there?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kathy Mullins. I reside at 119 Wood Circle. I'm here tonight to voice my concerns, and I've only got 3 minutes. I'm here tonight to voice my concerns in reference to the latest rezoning request for the parcel on 306 Sandalwood. I first approached the council with numerous concerns on behalf of the residents of Sandalwood, Tanglewood area in July of 2025. The original application from Traver Homes Wells and from LLC was approved by the board by simply viewing a blueprint for the 25 units.
Should we delay until all the people are there, so if they're gonna vote, they can hear the citizens?
No, you continue on. She'll be in. You may continue.
It was approved by looking at a blueprint for the 25 units with no due diligence to evaluate the potential impacts of the proposed development. Over a course of time, the developer presented a second application deviating the predefined plans approved for the 25 units, requesting 54 units. They were met with opposition, withdrew the proposal, and later on came back to the table with a request for 68 units. Nearly tripling the original request. The request was, of course, was approved for 25 units and then ballooned to 68 units, which was a very calculated corporate move by the Limited Liability Corporation. Everybody here in the room, the board members, all of these people in attendance can see that. It's my understanding that Traver met with the planning board where density concerns were addressed, and Traver insinuated that in essence, if the town didn't like that proposal, they'd simply sell the property to another developer with less appealing structure. So my question is, does the Limited Liability Corporation use intimidation tactics to negotiate deals? The rezoning does not align with the existing comprehensive plans for land use development and infrastructure on the banks of the Tar River. The rezoning at 306 Sandalwood will cause additional congestion and havoc to the area, which include and are not limited to congestion during peak hours. We've got 2 county offices at Shannon Village with approximately 30 county vehicles, plus the employee vehicles trying to enter and exit peak hours. We've got 5 existing apartment buildings at Hazelwood. We have advanced community health care. We have UNC Karl, Merit Child Care. Down Dogwood with no adherence to speed limits or signs. Bottleneck traffic on Wade Avenue. Cars are exceeding a safe speed when they approach the Wade Avenue intersection, some traveling, I dare say, in the excess of 50 to 55 miles per hour. We've got a state employees credit union automated teller machine in the Shannon Village parking lot, which stays very congested. We've got the Goodwill store, there's traffic all day long. And all of these traffic concerns will only intensify on a daily basis with no resolution in sight. Once the development is approved, there'll be no stopping it with no resolution in sight. We have property value concerns. We have drainage and flood concerns at Fox Creek behind the residence on Tanglewood. I've seen the creek exceed the banks up into the backyards of the residents on Tanglewood. I live on Pinewood Circle down in the cul-de-sac. That was during a 6 or 7 inch rain deficit, and some of those chain link fences were underwater. That's been addressed so many times with the town council with no concern.
One more minute. Like respectfully ask, take 1 minute, take another minute. You can have another minute.
Okay. Now the proposal for Fairfield LLC to construct a 44-unit development for senior living. The board was well aware of all the existing concerns long before that proposal was denied on Burke Boulevard due to the Louisburg's inability to meet the public utility needs. So with Trevor Homes having 68 units, Fairfield's 44 units equates to over 100 new dwellings and an additional 100+ vehicles to contribute to the existing density. Inadequate infrastructure and inadequate public utilities cannot support the increased density, as the area has suffered total neglect during my 37 years of residency. Power surges all over town in the past several months. I spoke with an employee with the electric department. He said, quote, "Ms. Mullins, I can't tell you why," end quote. So all of those conditions are only going to intensify. These are existing conditions before any of the new development comes along.
All right, Ms. Mullins, thank you.
So Louisburg's already facing numerous financial challenges with funding existing needs, and there's no extra money to improve infrastructure nor public utilities, resulting from the lack of due diligence and preparation for future growth.
Thank you.
And as elected officials of Louisburg, it's your responsibility as the board to control development and protect the rights of the citizens who reside in the corporate city limits in the town of Louisburg, North Carolina.
Thank you. Is anyone else?
Yes, sir. I just want, my name is Willie Mullins. I don't need that. I talk loud enough where you can hear me outside the building. I'm against 68 units. And they intimidated us. We're gonna build you a army barracks over there, if you don't let us build our 68 units. I think the town council should have some say-so on what builds there. I don't appreciate him intimidating me like that. I don't appreciate that at all. The first picture he showed was nice units. If they want to build 40 units like that in there, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. And I personally think if they build 40 like that, we'll be okay with it. But to intimidate us and say, if you don't let us build 68, we're gonna build your army barracks over there, and make it look like crap, I don't appreciate it at all, not one little bit. And if it was 50 years, back 50 years ago, one of us would have been outside.
All right, anyone else? Tim Portman. I'm respectfully we do respect your comments. I would just like to ask if you can try to keep it within 3 minutes. And we don't mean to be disrespectful in asking you to do that. Just keep it moving. Thank you.
My name is Kayla. I live off of Pinewood. I see literally all my neighbors here today as well to oppose this. I'm no different. I work remotely for a software company, so I'm not opposed to growth whatsoever. I actually enjoy it and we need it. What I am opposed to is I see working remotely, I work around 10 hours a day. I see the power surges. It's kicked me off, from being able to work, finish my job, what I need to do. I see the power outages. I mean, just the slightest storm and our power's out. And I mean, that's for hours on end, and it's constant and it's growing. The more I see it, more and more and more every month. And now you're starting to see it on Facebook as well. More people are noticing the outages. I understand wanting to grow and, putting some houses there, that's fine. But what are we going to do to build our infrastructure to support that? Because it's already struggling. Are we just going to keep piling it on until it, collapses? Also, I am a mother. I travel. My kids go to Cross Creek Charter School. There are no buses. I drive there every single day and back on my lunch break, mind you. That's 30 minutes. I have to go there, pick them up, and bring them back. With 68 houses, I can't imagine having to fight through that to get to my kids' school and back in the time allotted that I have. Right now, as is, it's already, a time constraint. I'm really begging you guys to think about how it's going to affect the already residing residents, our day-to-day life, the infrastructure. How is our quality of life going to be affected for the simple fact of adding 68 townhomes? Thank you, guys.
Okay. Putting that many apartments in that area is irresponsible.
Sorry, ma'am, could we get your name and address, please?
What?
Name and address, please.
My name?
Yes.
Brenda Bailey, 405 Tanglewood Drive for the last 32 years. The traffic is already bad because of the businesses and the homes there. This will add at least another 120 vehicles. I don't know how you came up with only 35 are going to go out in the morning and come in the afternoon. That's pretty ridiculous. And I think as elected officials, you should care about the needs of the local people rather than a big company that just wants to come in and make money.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Ryan Ellington, and I live at 128 Tanglewood Drive, and I'm here to be annoying. First off, thank you for all your hard work for the town. I know it can be a thankless job, and no matter what choices you make on the council, you get lambasted by somebody somewhere. I know it's hard to balance all of the different concerns that go into running the town, not just the concerns of my particular neighborhood. And I would like to say in advance that I'm not yelling. I just have a loud voice. I am not here to protest the building of additional housing on the parcel on Sandalwood Street. I am excited for new housing, new faces in the community, but I am here to protest the current version of the proposal. I understand that the parcel is already approved for a large number of units and that is going to happen in some form no matter what, but regardless of whether you permit 25 units or 45 units or 65 units to be built on the parcel at Sandalwood, I strongly believe it would be irresponsible to do so unless you also fast track a long list of infrastructural improvements that we believe. I don't think any of these things are surprising, but I think it's important to make them explicit before any new high occupancy housing can be built anywhere near us. We need major improvements in the electrical grid. I would be like the 27th person to complain about the electricity going out all the time if I did, so I won't, but here we are, right? We need a water source that we can definitively rely on to the future. We need major increases in drainage since our neighborhood already floods frequently as it is. The houses across the street from me have sold and then unsold and then resold and then unsold over and over because people buy it, then it rains and they see they have a swimming pool they didn't ask for in their backyard and they say, I don't want a swimming pool I didn't ask for in my backyard. We need significantly more ways into and out of our neighborhood. We need a way to support these significantly increased parking needs. We need clear and definitive prohibitions against using Tanglewood especially, but the surrounding streets as a through street. We need speed bumps, given the fact that people are inevitably still going to use Tanglewood and beyond as a through street. We need new ways to quickly and easily get onto Bickett Boulevard and 56. And guys, I love you, but putting in a median that prohibits us from turning left is not even close to an acceptable solution. We need ways to make as much of the immediate surrounding area as possible walkable to minimize the extreme vehicle congestion that comes with added high occupancy housing, significantly more crosswalks that consistently work, and on and on and on. I know that all of you campaigned on the promise to make housing affordable for normal people and that there is no magic way to do that without building new housing, and a lot of it, and you got to put it somewhere. But I want to repeat that although I'm not opposed to any and all development on Sandalwood, I'm opposed to cramming 68 units onto 5 acres. I'm opposed to slapping a bunch of rental apartments owned by one person together instead of homes to be owned by long-term Louisburgians who will actually live in them. And I'm opposed to doing so without making any that would make it benefit the town.
Thank you.
And do something to that.
This is a Karl, I live in Tanglewood Drive. First of all, like Ryan said, we do appreciate all your hard work. It's a thankless job. But right now, it's really a thankless job because we're very frustrated, we're scared, we're annoyed. There is, as Ryan knows, said, there's a serious infrastructure. How many times have your lights gone up recently? And not just for little blips that we don't count, because we're talking like hour, 2 hours, lights off. It's like, it can't support this. Originally, it was gonna be what, 25 units? And that was approved. But he jumps up to more, and then he jumps out up to 68. There are 68 houses in all that whole subdivision. He's saying that it's not gonna affect, that we have some traffic issues now, and it's not going to affect it. Seriously? You believe that? You think we believe that? There are 3 ways in and out of that area, and one of those is going back behind the DMV, the sidewalk, okay? It's going to affect everything, the infrastructure, the water, the traffic. Now, the sidewalks, talk about sidewalks, who's gonna pay for those? Is the city gonna pay for those? Or we as homeowners gonna pay for those? Traditionally, the homeowners pay for the sidewalks. These houses are not set back too far from the street, which means we're gonna lose part of our front yard for sidewalks, which shouldn't be necessary if we didn't have 68 units coming in. I apologize, I'm put out right now. I'm not taking that on you, but I'm taking that on them. So please, please consider the people that are living there, the taxpayers, not a builder who comes in here and moves on. We're gonna be staying here. We're gonna be the taxpayers. We're gonna be the residents here. We are the residents. You know, we're asking for an advocate. Please be our advocate. Thank you.
Ma'am, could you repeat your name for the record again, please? Ma'am,
I'm sorry.
your name for the record again? Karl. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
My name is Robert Post. I'm at 110 Tanglewood Drive. First thing that stands out to me is our demographic. We had a lot of slides about traffic, how it's going to be okay. I love our demographic, but look at us. We're not getting up at 6 in the morning to go to work. We're going out at different times of the day. It's naturally dispersed. A lot of us don't work. We work from home or we're retired. We add in 68 units. That's at least 68 adults, ones that are currently working. If any of you have ever driven down our street or recently, you'll notice it's pretty cramped. You've heard about the DMV. We had cars lined up. The whole road was muddy, being torn up. They had the barricades up. We had 68 more units, minimum 68 cars. It's inhabitable. You can't even, it will be inhabitable. No one will buy our houses. Everyone on the street in our neighborhood, everyone that can is looking to sell, looking to get out. I work from home. It's been said multiple times, but I cannot emphasize enough the internet dropping. Everyone who's coming in here, it's not normal. If you lived anywhere else your entire life, everyone I've ever talked to, the power now, they can count on one hand how many times the power's gone out. I can count on one hand multiple times where it's gone out more than that in a week, more than 5 times. Even if it's just little tiny blips, if it's in the middle of a critical call, that is detrimental. And we deal with it constantly. For those of us who it isn't critical, they come home, they want to enjoy the refrigerator working, and it doesn't. And we call and we're told that it just ate a bird, something of wildlife. That isn't normal. It's not okay. We're real people. I know we're just a small group, but 68 units, I know it's 40 units, all of it, we're stuck. No one's gonna buy our houses. I have children. It won't be safe for them to go down the street from the cars driving by. There's not enough work in Louisburg for 68 people, 68 houses. So I fear of idle hands in cheaper units. I'm glad that they're having houses for people that want to work, but there's going to be a lot of people that come in here, get a house, and they're not going to find work here. It's going to be very hard for them. Louisburg needs to support the people here currently.
Thank you.
I'm Christina Nelms Troutner. I live at 107 Triple Crown Run, Louisburg. I'm speaking for my parents, Gerald and Gail Nelms, who live at 213 Tanglewood Drive. My parents did not buy into flooding. They bought back in the 70s, and the issue was not as it is now. It has increasingly gotten worse. Their house is off of the water, and in storm times, they open their back door and it's all the way up to their patio. Their neighbor that has since moved since this project came about was not just a neighbor, but he was like, you know, he would check on them for us. If they had an issue, he would go over, take care of them, and he just could not fathom living right across the street from that, and moved. And that's what's happening. People are moving. Long-term residents, which is what I would think you would want as a long-term resident, not short-term rental people who live here for a year or two and then move on. How much are they going to spend in this town, as opposed to people who have lived here since 1970? I married my husband. We moved to Wade County. We moved back to Franklin County because when the schools started having one kid go over here and one kid go over there, and they didn't have enough schools for the amount of kids, I did not want that. It scared me to death. So we moved back to Franklin County so that we could live here and our kids went to school like 5 miles from the house. When you add all these people in and you don't have the proper infrastructure or the proper plan, you're going to end up with a bad situation. I don't even know how we got here, because we were told that when rezoning things happen, neighbors should be notified. Well, I've talked to lots of long-term neighbors who've lived there for 30 plus years who said they were never notified when the offices went in or when that apartment complex went in. So I'd really like to know, is there any historical communication on who was involved and who was notified of these things happening? I don't know what board members voted to come up with this 2030. and if any of them are even still on this board. But my bottom line is, and thank you, Terry, because you read it for me, so it don't have to take away from my 3 minutes. But first, the statement in the 2030 says, single family should be predominant. Second, it says areas should maintain R1, R2, and OI zoning. That does not say we should be rezoning. Third, it says multifamily is permitted adjacent to Highway 56. This lot is not adjacent to Highway 56. This lot is in the, and last, high traffic generators are not. Times that they did the peak hour is not open at 6 in the morning, to my knowledge. And the doctor's offices, I can't get an appointment at 6 in the morning. So is it really peak hours? And I work in Raleigh. I have to be there at 8:30. I don't get up till 7. So that 6 to 7 being a peak hour, if they live in Louisburg and that's what you are targeting people to live in Louisburg, work in Louisburg, blah, 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 6 to 7 is not the peak hour to be checking on that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Go ahead.
To give you a good example of how bad the traffic is, when I was coming to this meeting earlier, I turned through Carly C's parking lot so I could go to the stoplight because the boulevard was very busy. When I got to the stoplight, there were 18 vehicles waiting to go across Pickett Boulevard. The light changed and it turned back red. In the meantime, then it was 24 vehicles waiting at the stoplight to go across the boulevard. It took me 3 stoplight cycles to get across the boulevard.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? If not, representative from the developer, you have an opportunity to speak.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First, I'd like to speak to the intimidation claim. There's no intimidation here. We're speaking to just the realities of it. If we go down to 40 units per acre, the design of the buildings would have to change. As Mr. Satterwhite mentioned, he said the by right or the restrictions or the UDO requirements, zoning ordinance requirements on R2 would compress the developable area of the site. So the architecture and the building types have to change. So it wouldn't be as nice of a looking product if 40 units were built on the site by right. So it's not intimidation, it's just the reality of the development. I've heard a lot of neighborhood concerns with regards to Tanglewood and the connection, or well, traffic on Tanglewood. Note this project has multiple points of connection to the public roads. We could eliminate the connection to Tanglewood Avenue or Tanglewood Drive, which would eliminate some of their concerns, eliminate some of the traffic on that road. That's something we can do with no problems. With regards to infrastructure, with any project of this type or any other, it's not immediate. Houses won't be up tomorrow. So there's time for the town to plan and adjust and address some of the infrastructure concerns. With regards to the infrastructure needs of this project, somebody asked a question about the sidewalks. The sidewalks and infrastructure improvements that would be required as part of this development would be paid for by the developer. There's no town money or tax dollars involved with that. It is strictly funds or fees that the developer has to pay as part of the project cost. So there's no public money involved. You've heard from a lot of single family homeowners, as mentioned, with the Chamber of Commerce study, there's needs for multiple types of homes. So that's what we're proposing here. We feel this fills a gap. And, hopefully those folks that move in there, while they may live there, not forever, some may, there's more and more people want to rent instead of own. Whether that's a choice or not, that's up to them. But the goal would be for those folks to eventually become full-time town of Louisburg residents. They come here as renters and then stay as residents. And that may be the path to get new folks into the town. So, just something to consider. Everybody can't afford a single family home. That's not what so, again, if y'all have any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
And maybe I'm not quite fully understanding what you're saying when you're saying if you go from a 68 capacity to a 40, it's not gonna look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what it sounds like that you're saying that if I can't get my 68, if I give you 40, it's just gonna be whatever.
No.
That's what, that's what it sounds like. So you're saying that if we can't get 68 units as the aesthetics that was presented, then the 40 units is gonna be, okay, so I can't get it, this 68, then you're not gonna get what you want.
No, that's not the point at all. That is the reality of the site constraints.
So you can't use the same materials just to build less units with the same things?
You have to a lot of times you have to go taller, which means you have to go different construction types. You may not be able to put a peak roof and stay within height regulations. You may have to go flat roof. There's lots of different variables.
So what do you mean when you say you have to go taller? You
can't go
take
3 stories.
So you can't take the same units and say, okay, instead of 68, I'm gonna do 40 of the same. So you have to, and so what you're saying is, instead of putting one in each unit, it's gonna be multi-levels of units instead of one per set.
Setbacks change.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm
So it
saying
gives
is,
them less space
Not
to
more.
put those kinds of housing in.
I understand, but okay.
Right, so these units take up more footprint, so they look like townhomes, so they're 2 stories tall, and they're up to 1,600 square feet, if I remember right, so they take a bigger footprint than a standard, I'll say garden style apartment or something like that, that's one level, or that's one level for the apartment, but the building is multiple stories tall. So it's just a function of the space that's available, and I'm not saying that we or the LLC or the developer here is gonna do something different. I'm just saying, if you can't do 68 units which is why we're going PD, right? So we can change the setbacks, we can.
And you can build more.
Basically, what you're telling us is you're looking for your biggest return on investment
Yeah,
based on the footprint.
exactly.
No, guys, please.
No,
What you're,
please.
let me explain myself. You're looking for your largest return on investment based on the square footage of the residential unit based off the style of home. If you have the smaller footprint, if I'm understanding you correctly, just so I can have clarification. If you're looking for the smaller style of units, the first proposal, you're able to get more homes in that are aesthetically pleasing. But if you have to go with Plan B, you're looking at a larger style apartment. Am I correct in this? So your dollars go up based on the square footage and the amount of residential. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please explain it so I understand it.
Sure. So the construction type that's proposed with these units has higher finishes, it's a higher level apartment than a standard, say, garden style apartment with these. So the construction cost per square foot may be higher, or would be higher.
Okay.
For the proposed units. There again, the goal here is not to flip the site to a different developer. It's for the owners to create something that's nice for the town, something that is, it goes with the single-family residential or the existing single-family residence there. It's more in harmony with those than a 3-story building pushed all the way to the setback line, which depending on which way the side setback is 10 feet, I believe, right? Yeah. So the building could be 10 foot from Tanglewood Drive and face Tanglewood Drive in the by right zone. So it's not to get the most units. It's to give more flexibility to provide a different type of unit that's more of a higher.
So your ROI is still there. Your return on investment is still there,
right,
based on the quality of the structure.
Correct. So it's not necessarily we're not necessarily making more money on more units. They're just looking for a long-term property, and the goal is to hold it. It's my understanding is to hold on to this so they're not flipping it. They want to keep it.
The money in the long-term investor.
Exactly. So it's to build something good, to build something nice. It's not to flip it to some other rental company and a year, which I see a lot of in other markets. We see a lot of developers build something and flip it in less than a year and ownership changes. That's not the intent here. The intent is to build it, hold it, and create something that's nice and maintain it. So it looks good for the neighborhood.
That's what they said when they built Everwood too.
Yep,
See, you have a question, ma'am?
I know I had a comment. And my comment was just what he said. You know, their intent is to hold on to it long term, but that is not a guarantee. That is not legal. We can say that to get what we want to pass today, and then a year from after it's built, because it's going to be built tomorrow, but a year after that, they can change their minds and sell it. I think what
Another one somewhere else.
yes, and I think what the other councilwoman was saying is we don't understand how you're saying you can't go lower on that lot with the townhomes as 40. They would have to change to apartments. What sense does that make? If you are allowed to put 40 units by right, why can't you put 40 townhomes like you proposed, not 40 apartments?
The rezoning has to be approved to change the setbacks.
But the setbacks only need to be changed if you're building that many more units, right?
No,
Because by right, R2 is 40 units.
not necessarily, not the same style, the same style of units.
Terry, is that not correct?
I believe Terry mentioned it earlier that.
Yes, yes and no, because if they do by right in the R2 district, it shrinks the envelope, as he was saying. And so the style of apartments that they have proposed now are sort of in a row with like 6 units in a row, and some have 4, some have 5 in a row. If they were doing by right, that envelope shrinks so much that they probably couldn't fit 40. It might be 30. If they did by right, they did that same style.
But could they not just leave the roads and then that whole long section that they have going around the back or whatever, delete those?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Essentially,
setback
yeah.
there shouldn't matter. And as far as the whole, nobody wants to look at the back of Carly C's, there's been a house there for like 50 years and somebody did look at the back of her.
And they've all in it.
Yeah,
It's a real more
I
units.
know.
About 12 months ago, when we were here and we spoke with Traver Homes, I asked them point blank, was there anything in the proposal for infrastructure improvements? This one right over here said no, absolutely not. So who do you think's gonna absorb that cost? The town of Louisburg. And we're not financially able to do that.
And to clarify, the sidewalks are only on their property. It's not going to be all the way down past Carly C's to downtown.
And I also wanted to speak on the sidewalk thing. This lady in front of me, we both have newborns, and everybody in this neighborhood, we work.
Ma'am, could do you have a comment? Could you give your name and address for the record,
Yes,
please?
my name is Maria Jenkins, and I live at 303 Tanglewood. And my concern are the sidewalks. You're talking about 2 yellow lines in the middle of the road and not widen the road. You know, we're pushing baby strollers. My daughter is riding her bike. There's older people in here that, you know, can barely walk with walkers, you know, that walk, walk the dogs. We, play, and there's more traffic coming in. So why aren't you able to widen the roads on your property line and add sidewalks for the community? You're saying that you want a certain appearance for the neighborhood, but you're not caring about the residents there because you don't care about their daily living. You're only talking about the dollar amount that you can, put in your pockets. But what about us that are stuck there? I put my house on the market and it's sat up there for 6 months because of the stinking sewer that nobody wanted to buy. So I'm pretty much stuck there. And I'm right in Tanglewood. I have a Ring camera, and our neighborhood is a quiet neighborhood. From, I would say, about 8:30 to about 6:30 in the morning, there's absolutely no traffic. I live right there at the stop sign. I catch traffic going on the right side of Tanglewood and also the left side, and people going out on San Diego. When you bring in, 68, 70 units in there, it's gonna be chaos. Our neighborhood literally shuts down. My Ring camera does not go off after 10 o'clock. We're shut down. 70 units coming in there, in 70 units, that can bring over 300 or 400 people, if 4 or 5 people live there, and, you know, if they're gonna be walking around. That's a safety hazard, that's, you know, you're not thinking about any of that.
As mentioned, we can eliminate the connection to Tanglewood to address some of the concerns with traffic on Tanglewood Avenue, or Tanglewood Drive. And the sidewalks are along the perimeter of the site as well, which would be within the public right of way, so there's sidewalks. If somebody wanted to walk from Tanglewood to the north, they would have a safer path than walking on the street, you know, in the roadway, at least along our site's frontage.
I'm sorry, I just have one more thing. If you eliminate Tanglewood, you still have 3 entrances right there before the stop sign, in between the stop sign and Karl C's. 3 entrances. How many times are they gonna have to stop behind somebody turning to go in their subdivision? Is there gonna be a turn lane?
Right, I believe there's another way in off Tanglewood. I believe Tanglewood loops back around, Tanglewood, if I'm not mistaken, so you don't necessarily have to go.
No,
on the side of the property.
Tanglewood does not connect on the other end.
And those roads need to be fixed from the first, the second door coming in.
Absolutely.
Those roads.
All right,
have to be fixed.
all right, thank you. We must end this. And, we appreciate all of you and all of your concerns. Thank you. Okay.
We need a motion to close.
Yes, we'll, get a motion to
I move that we close the public.
It's been moved and properly second that we close public hearing. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. All right. Now, item number 11. This is a discussion for the council as on the budget for 2026 and 2027. You've heard Mr. Madeline bring forth the budget. Is there any more discussion from the council?
I gave my opinion of it, of truthfully and paying attention. And also, as we see infrastructure, we have really big infrastructure problems that we need to focus on. Not saying that we're not, but we need to be thinking ahead. And I already explained that.
Yeah, I have the same concern. I know we've already proposed about a 10% tax increase, and I don't think it's adequate. Okay, it doesn't allow us any reserve. It doesn't allow us any money for the pay study if it comes back and says that we need to increase our pay to stay competitive. And then we are zeroing out most of the capital requests from our utilities departments. And you've heard what these folks are talking about. I've experienced it. Come back and I was out of town for 3 days, and I come back, my clocks are four hours off from all the outages. And our infrastructure is not adequate, and we've got all these new demands. You know, I know it's tough to increase taxes, but I think we've got to do it. And if you compare us to the other communities in Franklin County, we have the lowest tax rate. Our proposed increase will still put us 10 cents behind Franklinton and almost a $0.50 behind Youngsville. And the tax rates isn't what people pay. We have a low tax base compared to those other communities. So the actual taxes we're having to pay are even lower. So I think we need to increase the tax rate by at least another 2 cents to provide us a little bit of a reserve. And I think we ought to look at the utility rates. Why are we, Sean, you reduced almost all the capital outlays. Why do you think that's possible?
We can do rate increases anytime during the year, whether it's electric, water, sewer. Working on trying to get a rate study complete so we know where we are, which is asking the rate study entity to look at the current rates, where we are infrastructure-wise, and prepare for the future.
So we can't change the tax rates mid-season, not tax rates.
Any rate can be changed during our season except our tax rate.
Okay.
The tax rate has to be confirmed tonight. Yes.
I do think we need to consider at least a couple more cents on the tax rate, so we have a little bit of a buffer, so we don't get hit with a pay study that says we need to increase our pay by 200,000 or 300,000 and no money to do it with. So that's my proposal, is that we increase the tax rate. What is it? It's 55, we recommend. I say we go up to 57.
Can I make a comment to that?
Yeah.
Sure.
If you do the additional 2 cents, then I have to know where you're gonna put that expenditure-wise, because I have to have a balanced budget. So if you're looking at that salaries,
Can we not have a reserve fund?
technically, no. Not in a budget. We should not be having what is considered additional funds available. I mean, that's not part of the general statutes typically.
Can we increase the tax rate and pass an interim budget by coming back and balancing the budget?
No. Let me answer that question. No, an interim budget would not benefit the town of Louisburg. And here's how, here's why. Given the situation that we are in right now with, presently we are in a budget, a audit process right now. An interim budget will tie our hands even more so than where we are now. We cannot do anything really. If we fail to pass a budget, and the key date for us getting a budget is July 1. That is the critical date. If the town has not passed their budget, then the LGC will look upon us. We're also under their experience right now. That shows the LGC budget that we cannot handle our budget.
Mayor, respectfully, our failure to plan is not our community's emergency, but it's becoming the emergency.
Well, yes, well, to a degree. Now, if we plan a budget, and here's the deal with that. We pass a budget. We have the opportunity to go back and make various changes through various amendments. Now, in an interim process, you cannot do that. An interim process, we cannot even pay our employees unless we come back every time to pass a measure to pay our employees. We cannot come back, and when we have our regular expenses, we have to come back and vote again to pay our regular bills. That is not, it's not a good thing.
I don't.
We in having a budget that allows us to continue to function, and then issues that you have talking about, that we have the ability to move things around in line items. We have that ability, that we have that flexibility. An interim budget will not allow us to do that.
I don't, like, it's pretty obvious that everybody needs more revenue here. We heard from a number of our citizens tonight, regarding what's being affected within our community. Every single one of us who spend time live here for weeks. The question is, do we have a problem that we're in currently based off the root of the challenges that we face? That's the big question. Our community's demanding answers. It's our us to do our job. This is what we were elected to do. And the question is, how do we come together as a council to accomplish that goal based on the challenges that we have for today? If it means that we need to increase our taxes, if it means that we need to have a balanced budget, we should have started this program a long time ago. We knew the challenges that were before us from day one. And we have failed to do our job. Every single one of us. And we are held liable for that.
Yes, but the interim budget is not the solution. An
I'm
interim,
looking for solutions.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
throwing, listen, I'm going off your guidance and I hear you.
see, if we go with the interim budget, we do not have the ability to raise revenue.
So what would your solution be?
I would
I think
suggest,
Miss Betty's got something. I'm curious.
let me ask him, I would suggest we, if we were to move to 7 cents, we put that to raise it into our general fund. In doing so, that gives us some flexibility as we move forward to do budget amendments to change line items wherever wherever there needs to be. That allows us to do that. An interim budget is not there, and that weakens us instead of strengthening us. And even though it's there, I know of no municipality has passed an interim budget and limit their ability to even function in doing so. So to pass a budget now, that allows us to operate under our present conditions with auditors that we have now, that we're working diligently to catch up. In the interim capacity, then that sends a very wrong message to all of these entities, showing us that we are not capable of handling our finances. We are. We are.
We started to talk about where we were gonna put these 2 cents.
Mhm.
I don't understand. You're saying the state that has a rainy day fund won't let us have a rainy day fund?
So technically, when you have a budget, your revenues have to match your expenditures. So if you have it in excess, typically in your general fund, then you need to drop your rates accordingly. Or prepare for less funds to be
Remember a
received.
year ago, we
Right.
had a strategic planning
Right. So,
meeting.
right.
And one of the things we talked about is the fact that we don't put any money aside for our future capital needs.
Right. So you have to earmark the money is what I'm trying
Can
to.
we earmark it for future capital needs?
So you have to be specific. So my suggestion that I was trying to get to was,
Okay.
if you make the 2 cent adjustment, which would equate to 93,972.30, you can earmark that towards salaries, so that if we find that the pay study is required to do an increase, we can allow for that. If not, then those funds can be redirected. If you put them into capital reserve accounts, you have to earmark them for fire apparatus vehicle or police cruisers. They have to be used for those projects.
Then I move that we put those 2 cents into into salaries.
For general fund only.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. It has to be.
It only goes to the general fund.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It has to be earmarked for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, with just a quick, and I'm gonna be honest with you transparently, it's an AI search. But what I did was I asked, can we pass in North Carolina, can we pass an interim budget, pay our employees, and still stay within ordinance by July 1st? And according to North Carolina General Statute 159-16, it states, in case the adoption of the budget ordinance is delayed until after July 1st, the governing board shall make an interim budget for the process of paying salaries, debt service payments, and the usual ordinary expenses of the local government or public authority for the interval between the beginning of the budget and the adoption of the budget ordinance. What it means in practice is that we can pay our employees' salaries and benefits, pay utility bills and operating expenses, make debt service payments, continue normal government operations, maintain essential services for our citizens. So I hear you and respect what you're saying.
Why an interim budget when we can pass a budget and do exactly those same things?
Are we rushing to pay a budget? Are we rushing to come to a budget out of fear for doing the incorrect
No,
thing?
no, we're not. No.
We can, then, if we pass a budget, we're setting how much money that we think. But we can come back in a month, or 3 months, or 6 months from now and say, things have changed. And, you know, we didn't need this $200,000 over here and we can move it over here. All right. What we have to do tonight, or by the end of the month, is set the tax rate. Everything else can be changed just by a vote of this council. All right. So I think we need to go ahead and pass the budget with this extra 2 cents so we have a little more flexibility. I don't think that is a huge burden on our taxpayers. And then in the future, we need to look at the utility rates after we get our rate study and consider adjusting them so we have some money to do the infrastructure repairs and additional capital outlays in the future. But we can do that down the road once we get that information and can make a more intelligent decision.
We already have some of the highest utility rates, and we're gonna pass that struggle on to our citizens.
That's what we need to find out, that's what a rate study is gonna tell us, is how are our rates where they should be? If they are, then we deal with it. If they're not, then we have to deal with that. But then we have some information, from experts telling us where our where our utility rates are.
But we do have some high utility rates.
I know.
I mean, businesses, I live with just me and my son, and my light bill is $400 almost every month. And I work during the day and he sleep half the day. So, I'm paying a $400 light bill on a teacher's salary, and I'm there at home, so.
Then why are we having all these infrastructure issues?
That's because we haven't maintained, we haven't done.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to have cash to maintain.
Right.
Or if we can't do this, then maybe we need to look at getting out of the utility business.
I think it's a systemic issue. This is something that we have walked this road for not just this last year, the year before.
I know,
Like,
we are inheriting
You've said it a million times.
10, 20 years of neglect.
That's right.
And now it's all piling on, it's like, it's
We
heavy.
realize that.
So do we put a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound, or do we just?
We realized that a couple of years ago before you got here. But what I was gonna say, when we was in the budget meeting, anybody remember me asking Sean if we can do an amendment later and the funds are there, we can give like a bonus to the people that was expecting a raise, because everybody is getting that 3%. And he said, yes, we could do it. So let's see what we have now and
He
what
also
we
said
have to come
historically,
up
we have
with.
never done that before unless it was during COVID money. So we've never historically done it. So how do we address that as well? Sean?
Well,
That's what I
but
would
what we
ask.
had stated in the budget meeting, we do not have the funds to give more than what we can give at this time. So why now are we asking for more?
Because we're having a budget discussion.
But that's
what we're
all
doing.
well and good, but you have like 3 days to make sure this budget is ready to go. And now you want to make some changes to it?
This is part of my job. I'm sorry if I'm asking questions.
No, I'm just asking. We met 3 different times about this budget. And now you ready to throw some stuff in. I know we got to do.
I also asked on 5/19 for data of email, and I didn't receive it till 15 minutes before our last meeting. So, I mean, I'm not here to throw stones, but
I'm not here to throw stones, but it's time for some of us to go to bed.
my job is to do the diligence for my community, and that's why I've been elected, and that's what I will do.
I think that's all of our jobs. And we've got to come up with a solution. And going back and forth is not going to do it.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Pointing fingers is not going to do it. We need to do something tonight and move forward. 2% has been put on the table. There's been concerns. 2 cents has been put on the table, and there's concerns even about that with some who say they already have high bills. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. We have to find a way or solution that will possibly can work for everybody. We got to meet each other halfway. And we've got years to go. You know, do a little bit now, do a little bit next year, do a little bit the next year, till we can get, you know, retention when it comes, you know. My concern is you're losing an officer, you know, and why are we losing that? You know, and is it because of salary? You know, these are the things we need to be looking at. So let us work something out tonight, and then if it can be adjusted, if we can go back and adjust it, then let's do that.
That's why I proposed the extra 2 cents.
Yeah.
That gives us a little bit of money when we do our pay study. And if it shows that our officers aren't getting competitive salaries, we'll have some money there that we can do that. If it turns out we're okay, well, we've got lots of infrastructure needs. We can apply that to.
Definitely.
So I have made a motion that we increase the tax rate to 57 cents per 100,000. As a motion.
I second. It has been moved and properly second that we add 2 cents to the 5 cents that we, to increase by 7 cents. And for it to be included into the general fund for giving us flexibility as we move forward. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Ayes have it.
I do want to say going forward.
We have a
if we
budget.
pass this, that we need to seriously sit down and have strategic planning sessions. And we need to go to the drawing board and we need to look at, truly, we need to come up with a game plan moving forward. We can't keep going in the blind. We need a game plan. So going forward, we need some strategic sessions. And we need to go to the drawing board. We need to move, we're moving forward, but we got a lot to go ahead of us. And so we need some sessions, but we really need to look at what we need and what we need to do.
I would echo that. That is the exact reason why I chose to vote no. I feel as if we have not done the due diligence for our citizens to do the actual work. Compressing
That's right.
our needs for our citizens here tonight, and Ms. Betty, I respect what you're saying. I really do. But please understand, like, we're here discussing economic impact on our community when we have power outages.
But
We
sometimes-
have sidewalks who are failing.
And that's what I'm saying. They've already stated.
I respect
how their
that, and I'm having my
electricity
opportunity to
how
say
their
so as well.
roads look. And so now you want to add this on them too. So,
Well, it's our job to maintain it, and if we haven't done it in the past, shame on us. If we don't address it in the future, shame on us.
By passing this budget tonight, puts us in a stronger position to do exactly what you have just articulated, as opposed to passing an interim budget, which limit us from doing what you have articulated tonight.
Thank you for hearing me out.
Okay.
Mayor, you need a motion to pass the budget.
We just did.
No, he did a motion.
We did a motion to increase the tax.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I think we need a motion to approve the whole budget now with the tax increase.
I understand.
I moved so.
Okay.
I second that.
It has been moved and properly second that we pass our 27 budget with a 7 cents increase. With that going to the general fund for the 26-27 budget year, fiscal year. All in favor, let it be known by the show of hands. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, council. Thank you, citizens. Now.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
That should have been done. Yeah. Just to make your own decisions here.
You just did.
Yeah, but this whole should went in public hearing. That's my discussion.
Okay. We should have passed it, but did we?
Yeah, you did. You good.
Okay, the next item is, the discussion, the decision of amendment of the Louisburg Plaza Master Plan, the cell towers for parcel 040450705 Retail Way. So, in the,
I move we approve the amendment.
okay, it's moved and properly second that we amend, that we approve the amendment for the Louisburg Plaza Master Plan.
Mayor,
That's for
Good
the
question.
cell tower.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would,
got a
I would
question.
like to make a, Pastor, please, you
Go-
look like you had
go
something to
ahead.
say
You have a
first, so
question.
please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna state that you had stated about bringing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Adding that in.
I would like to make that as a motion that if we could at least bring those branches down, at least to the tree line, to make it more aesthetically pleasing. I would respectfully ask the developer if we could please do that. And that would be my motion, that we would go ahead and approve the cell tower with the adjustment that we bring the branches down at least to the tree line for aesthetic purposes.
I accept that friendly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
That's what I was saying before that.
that. Thank you, Pastor. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
So noted, you heard the motion, relating to the cell tower with the amendment.
Thank you.
Question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Councilman Kingston. Next is, okay, item number 13, amend to the official zoning map, rezoning parcel 01811801668-306 Sandalwood Avenue. Council. Any,
Is this discussion part on this, or is it?
Yes,
we're doing
this is a discussion part.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, okay.
Any technical questions that you will have?
Now,
okay. Okay. Here's, we've heard the discussion from all of the citizens. And in that, there were three options. One, to just not pass it at all. The other is to do it on a conditions of
Reduced density? Yes, sir, the board has to agree to that.
okay.
If that's the case.
And the third one for the third one was for the deny.
Approved as is, approved with reduced density, or denied, yes, sir.
Okay. And that one was that,
And there's always the fourth option, excuse me, tabling.
my take, go ahead.
We're gonna come back to the same thing.
Yeah.
I believe that Tanglewood, the many of them have said, to reduce it, to down to 40 was acceptable to them, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's town hall.
Well, we don't have any control.
over
I-
that, over that.
I
I mean, if we deny
I
this,
understand that.
right.
I understand it. Let me finish, please.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hear, I'm just trying to make something comfortable for them. Because they live there, I don't live there. And it's a big decision for me. And so, that's what I struggle with. I want y'all to know that. I want the best for you as well. And then when I look at the lease of denying it, then it gives opportunity for somebody else to come in, or them to sell it, and somebody come in and do it, basically, somewhat, whatever they want to do. That's my struggle. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't ask this. I'd just like to know if the majority is good with the reducing it. maybe that's out of order, I don't know. Please help me,
No, that's part of the discussion.
you know.
I mean, one of the options would be to go back to the developer and say, are you willing to go with 50? Split the difference or something like that.
So can we ask, based off what Pastor's saying, can we ask the public for a show of hands, no discussion?
Yeah,
So we don't open up a can of worms, because we've heard everybody. And this is probably one of the hardest decisions like I've had to come through at the table in representation for our community. I know a good many of you, and I could only imagine how it would impact me personally if I was in this situation. But I need to take the personal out of it, because I also need to think about the legal obligation that stands within the town. And if I don't stand on one end, then you have another option that you're going to be looking at, a better or worst case scenario. So I have to get in your mind's eye and understand where this comes from as pastors. And I struggle as well in this area. I know where I would want to be, but again, I don't live there, just like Pastor said. So could we ask with a show of hands with no discussion?
No discussion.
And then we go to the developer from there?
No, I guess the ball's in his court.
I would like to make that as a motion that we ask the community of Tanglewood with a show of hands, if you guys would approve lesser units. We gotta meet them in the middle somewhere.
How many units?
40 is the max, phase 6 on R2, correct?
Again, no discussion,
Okay,
please.
but you gotta ask the question correctly.
Okay, so I'll ask you the question.
Give
I'll ask
that
the
second
residents the
scenario.
question.
Terry, would you please explain?
Yes, could you please?
All right, if we reject this request, they have by right build around 40 units.
Correct.
All right. If we approve it, they get 68. Sorry. So to go in between those two numbers is what we're talking about. And if you split the difference, it would be 4950.
We understand that you want 40, we understand that you want 40 units, but it would end up the second option.
It's already R2 though, so it's already at a max of 40.
Right.
It's already that, we're saying that's fine. But for them to change it to planned development takes conditions off. They can build different setbacks, the buildings can be closer
We
together.
are setting right now what they are going to be able to build.
What they
But
initially
it's
came to.
already R2, which is 40.
If they
and
go
we're
to
fine with it.
R2, we have
We
no
said-
control over what they build.
No, you do.
No, we don't.
We said that this would
All they
be,
have to do is meet the setbacks.
we said that this would be no discussion. We were asking for your input, citizens.
But we need to know exactly what's happening to vote.
Terry, could you propose the question on the way that I think you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Explain that once.
So the question would be for the residents of Tanglewood, would you be okay with up to a certain number of units? Like you said, maybe in the middle, 45, I would say would be a good number. That's not 68, but it's not necessarily 40 by right, but a little bit higher, 45.
But if we just want the buy right, which is what it is now, stay in R2,
Then you can end up with.
then we're both saying we don't want a mixed development coming in there.
Again,
if they do buy right,
they have that right now.
That's not an
And we
option.
can't change it.
Legally, that's not an option.
Yeah, right. If they do buy right, they can get up to 40 units.
Yes.
Now. but
And we're fine with
they're
that if they're the
proposing-
townhomes they submitted.
No,
No,
we
no,
can't
we-
tell them that.
That's where our,
Right. In any way they want to do it.
In any way that they want to. And we have no control. We can't tell them you have to build these units that they presented tonight. Now, if we allow them the PD that they're proposing, but they agree to reduce density, then it does still offer those architectural controls, and we can tell them it has to be built to what you present.
So can we not do PD reduce density to 40, which is what the R2?
That's what we're saying, but we just said 45.
And the whole 360 comprehensive thing says it would stay in there, R1, R2, and OI. in the plan,
And
that's what it
again, they made that point,
said,
and
that was voted on.
This should have been done over here.
See, we're going, we're going off course again. We want to take a vote, and it was suggested that we want to do it in a most fair way as possible. And okay, he's
45 to 48 units.
Yeah, between 45 to 40.
45 to 48 units. That's your number.
45 to 48 units.
All in favor of changing that, please raise your.
With the nice houses.
Excuse me.
They don't want, they're saying they don't want to commit to that.
So it wouldn't be any kind of house.
It's not.
No.
If it's 45 to 48 units, it will be what they presented tonight. A little in this
If they accept.
If they accept that, they have to still accept.
It's not about a commitment issue, folks. It's not about a commitment issue.
So simple, so let's try to see.
Help, we're asking you to help us.
We can't, I'm sorry, Mayor, would you like to pose a question? We closed the public hearing.
That's right. So it's over with. Going. So this is where we are. And we were asking for your input to help us to make this decision to help you in this. Normally, this doesn't usually happen, but we wanted to be as fair as we possibly can on this. So we'll make that motion to go with that mid unit of what is it? That
45,
yeah.
45, 48. We just got to decide on a number.
Okay.
And then we need to.
That middle. That middle.
And it would be 45 townhomes outside.
They're not the ones that they presented.
We still have to come up with a physical number. So to the developers, question for you. Would you oblige to do 45 to 48 units, whatever we decide, with those units as the townhome style?
So David Haskins, I'm on behalf of Wood Reserve LLC. I think we'd have to discuss it internally. I mean, the thing is, and contrary to popular belief, the most economical thing for us to do is sell it to national people that have already called us. They proposed plans to us. The plans that they proposed were rent control or Section 8, like what you're seeing on 56, which is, I don't personally live here and I do not personally own property in the Louisburg area. My partners do own considerable property in the area. They did not want to see that, and so that's what brought us down this path. You know, at 45 units, I think we would, to your point, that's the same thing as R2. So I think we would need to crunch the numbers. We are not some big conglomerate. So, you know, what would be looking at that? When you limit the number of units, you have to limit the construction cost, limit all those things to make the numbers work. And then you end up with a lower rent. Now, I'm not gonna, you know, who ends up living there, you know, nobody can control. But our intent and our goal is to build something nice, something that we hold on to. There's no intent to sell it in the foreseeable future. Who knows what the future holds, but in any case, we would go, I mean, we have to go back and discuss it at 45, so.
If you could, may I speak freely?
Go ahead.
If you could come to the table, we've heard the citizens control, you know, numbers, like, I mean, for quite a while now, we've heard all their concerns. We could do this for another year. I think we all want to come to a closure. I think they want to come to a closure. Our job is to help our citizens, obviously. We respect where you're coming from. Long-winded, what I'm saying is, come back to us with a realistic number where we can do our job for our citizens.
Yes, sir.
And also make our developers happy. You know, because we recognize that we need this, but, you know, we can't go in with the golden handcuffs. You know, we can't be handcuffed by this deal. And respectfully.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
we can table it tonight.
Yeah.
Give you a chance to go
Yes, sir.
back and discuss it with your folks. Come back to us at the next meeting with it.
Now, in tabling, we have to set a date when we want to come back.
Well, our next regular meeting.
Well, the next regular meeting is in 2 weeks.
How long will it take you? How long will it take? How long will it take you to crunch your numbers?
We can get together and figure it out. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll work together with you.
So I make a motion that we table this to our next regular scheduled council meeting.
I second.
And I would second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we table, this one, the decision on the amendment for the amendment of the official zoning map for parcel 018-118, 016-68306 for Sandalwood, Avenue. The motion is set to, table it till our next council meeting. And that is July 14th, 2026. All in favor? All opposed?
I have a question for Terry. Is there a way that Terry can get out to the citizens, the options where it's in black and white and paper where they can see? Because I'm a visual person. I have to see it written down. What you're saying is one thing, but if I look at it one way, does that make sense, y'all? To put it on paper so that they can see the options.
That's the teacher.
Yeah, it is the teacher in me. So that they can see what it looks like. Okay, this is plan option 1, option 2, option 3, and what it's spelled out in terms. Is there a way that you can get that to those citizens?
I can create that document, absolutely, but getting it to the citizens is a bit harder because, right, I'm at work.
Yeah.
For 8 hours a day, but that would take 3 hours to go to each residence and I have done that before with the notifications.
And you put it in the mail?
I can put it in the mail,
What's the cost?
I was gonna say that it costs $10 per letter.
Or you can put it on a website or email.
Terry, if you need an hour of my time to do it, I'll dedicate an hour of my time to help you deliver that.
Or you can put it on the website. In the website.
Yeah, you can.
In the website.
Yeah, there we
Put it
go.
on the web, now that.
Yeah. That way they can see it spelled out what option 1, 2, and 3 looks like.
Okay. All right.
It's on the website.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll do.
Okay. Item number 14, get a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Been moved and properly second that we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.